Hey, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
Rambling Reviewers.
And we caught up with Steven Universe.
Yep.
We got to the end of Season 5. Now I can tell you all the things I was holding my tongue about while I was introducing you to this show.
Yeah, by the way, fuck you. Fuck you for introducing me to this fucking show. God damn it, I love this show.
Yay, shows.
Okay, so Season 2 ends with Peridot calling Yellow Diamond a clod and, her unofficially joining the Crystal Gems. Well, actually, no. The ultimate episode of that season was
log date 7/15/2.
Yeah, I think that might have
7152. Whatever. I'm reading it off Wikipedia.
Yeah. Well, anyways, it talks about how Peridot is going to be a crystal gem now, and she's come to love the Earth, which is kind of a problem, honestly.
Peridot liking the Earth?
Well, I mean, specifically, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that once you get to the end of Season 5. You start to notice a pattern with major villains.
Yeah.
I'm the one who posted that on TV Tropes, that it's the same, now it sucks.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, every major bad guy who could threaten the status quo in some way will get talked over by Steven.
Not everyone, though. Jasper's an example.
Okay, Jasper and and Aquamarine. Those are like the only two in the entire 5 seasons that I can recall.
Who have stayed evil. Yeah, pretty much.
And are conscious.
And conscious, yeah, because the gem mutants are a whole different deal.
But even the gem mutants, Steven managed to talk over Centipedal.
That's true. And the entire cluster. And, I guess I should make a distinction between the mutants and the corrupted gems. But anyway, go ahead,
yeah, Lapis Lazuli, who basically tried to steal all the water from the Earth, a feat we haven't seen since Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah.
Let's see. Peridot, who was planning to destroy the Earth and return it to its quote-unquote rightful masters. Bismuth, who wanted to up the scale of war by introducing an instant murder weapon. Let's see.
Other people we've talked over. Peridot we already mentioned.
Centipedal,
and now potentially
the diamonds,
the blue and yellow diamonds,
aka the big bads of the series. Oh, you could argue that White Diamond is, but literally we have not heard her name once.
Yeah, we only know her by implication.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I said earlier in the bit where Peridot's about to be converted to our side. It almost looks for a moment like there's going to be a lesson Steven has to learn. That not everyone can be converted to the good side. And that would have been a good lesson. And it was neat to see it subverted with Peridot, because Peridot's been a fun character. But it would be nice to circle back to that lesson in some other context. And eventually there is someone that you just actually can't change. I think Jasper is an example, I guess. But
Jasper
maybe a
could
bigger
be an example. But Jasper seemed unhinged.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that you can't argue with unhinged people and you can't recruit them to your side. It's a stupid idea, but at the same time, you can do that. You can talk down people who are, not well mentally.
Oh, that's true. Absolutely.
The problem is that it seems like most of the people that Steven hasn't been able to talk down are either unhinged,
or he barely got to know them.
Right.
I think it's not even the trend of people he hasn't been able to talk down because there's not enough examples of that trend. I think the problem is not enough examples of that trend. And I still love this show. I still had great fun watching it up through the end of Season 5. But you do wonder, could there eventually be somebody that kindness doesn't work on? And that might be a new angle on things?
Okay, the 2 examples I thought of were people who are crazy, like Jasper, who was eventually so crazy she tried fusing with a corrupted gem and got corrupted herself. Or Aquamarine, who was fanatically loyal to the diamonds.
If the diamonds change their tune, does that mean Aquamarine changes her tune?
In which case, she's loyal to an ideal rather than to her own self.
Which, you can have characters like that, certainly.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying, Steven hasn't ever encountered someone who has their own reasons for doing things and won't stop.
Yeah, like a Joker to the Batman, as it were. I'm thinking Dark Knight, sort of.
Yeah, but he falls under crazy.
He falls under crazy. Okay,
just like someone who genuinely disagrees, has their own reasons for disagreeing, and feels that their arguments outweigh Steven's.
Mm-hmm. Now, to be fair,
I'm going to say something that's going to cause an aneurysm in my brain, but How to Train Your Dragon's dude did something nice there.
How to Train Your Dragon 2?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what happened in that one?
Hiccup made multiple advances towards, I want to say Khaldor Drago, but that is absolutely not the right person.
Oh.
Drago Bloodfist, the main big bad, who enslaved dragons, including his own Bewilderbeast, and was basically bent on conquering the world. Hiccup made multiple attempts to get through to him. Drago said no. He threw away the gauntlet of forgiveness. He did not look back. It was a lesson in that story that you might want to get along with everyone. Some people you cannot get along with. Mm-hmm. That's a lesson I think Steven Universe is a little overdue on.
Yeah, to be fair, we're not completely sure how the things will hash out with the diamonds. It may be they have a temporary truce for a moment here while Steven explains things for 2 episodes, and then they say, you know what, screw it, organic life still sucks, and there's more conflict.
Yeah.
You know, it's possible, especially I would think Yellow is more prone to that.
It's possible. But...
It's possible.
Okay, but anyways, back to season 3. Eventually we resolved that hanging plot thread of Malachite, aka Lapis Lazuli, and Jasper being fused together, where Lapis had imprisoned both of them at the bottom of the ocean. The Crystal Gems take care of that, but once they get back to this barn, the barn that they had been in, Peridot says, "Oh fuck, the Earth is angry." Yeah, the cluster's getting ready to emerge, so Steven goes down and talks the monster to death. Again.
Yeah, which is just a little disappointing when I saw that, because, like, you know,
okay,
God-killing abomination on the planet killer, I should say, is what it is, really. And, you can fix it with, like, a 5-minute conversation. Oh.
I'm just saying, you know, maybe, just theoretically, the ancient eldritch abomination that's going to rip the planet in 2 should be a little more difficult to convince than the diamonds, who are at least people.
I don't know. You could argue that the other way. The cluster doesn't even know what's up or who to listen to. Maybe it'll listen to whoever walks in.
Yeah, but it had exactly 2 imperatives. One was grow, and the other was fuse together. So, I'm thinking that a complex person... Steven managed to convince them, hey, how about you don't grow and
you know, I guess
together.
There's one bit of the lore I'm unsure about. All the corrupted gems, and in this case gem shards, were they all crystal gems to begin with?
I would think so.
Okay, well that makes it more plausible that they would end up listening to Rose Quartz's, you know, son or whatever. Because I'd initially assumed that the majority, if not all, of the corrupted gems and stuff had in fact been homeworld gems who had been caught up in getting nuked by their own side when the diamonds were like, screw it, we're abandoning the whole planet and we're willing to kill off our own people in order to make the crystal gems suffer, like a we have reserves mentality.
Oh, you mean, God damn it, I really hate the fact that we don't have a definite species name for the gems.
Oh.
Because crystal gems could refer to... I thought you meant crystal gems as in the species name.
No. Crystal gems is specifically the rebel gems.
Oh.
That's the name of their, like, organization.
You know,
Crystal gems.
I personally think that it was a combination of Homeworld and crystal gems making it up.
Right.
Because I don't think the diamonds just have all of these dead bodies laying around.
I don't know. They had a 1,000-year war. It does tend to produce dead bodies.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, they tend...
Anyway, if they had all been crystal gems originally, then they would be easier to persuade to join our side. Because they were on our side already.
Well, anyway, Steven manages to talk the cluster down somehow by being him.
I guess we should also point out, in examples of things that can't be talked down, all the corrupted gems they popped, which is almost all of them, Centipedal being the exception.
Yeah. It just... Okay, so he manages to talk down the world-killing abomination, at which point we should be very glad that this isn't Transformers Prime, because, spoiler alert for the end of the first season, turns out that Unicron is at the center of Earth in that series. And that Earth is threaded through with Dark Energon, aka Unicron blood, and if you're infected by that, you're subject to his will.
No.
Yeah, so imagine the cluster growing for 5,000 years, and it being under the control of Unicron. Yeah, that could be bad.
Yeah, it'd be very bad.
So, let's see. What else happens in Season 3?
Well, having talked a whole bunch of, your slice of life stuff, which is great, but no, I need to recap all of it. Bismuth comes back.
Bismuth is honestly one of my favorite episodes.
I'd like to rewatch it. It's been a while.
Yeah, Bismuth was apparently one of the original Crystal Gems. And yes, they do lampshade how, no one ever mentioned Bismuth.
Yeah.
Though, in hindsight, Garnet and Pearl were warriors for thousands of years. They could just have honestly forgotten about Bismuth.
Or they know, but they don't necessarily want to tell Steven everything because the horrors of war, and let's not talk about all the dead people and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying totally forgotten about
yeah.
Bismuth. I'm just saying, like, how often do you think of that one person you knew 20 years ago?
Right.
Well, it turns out that Rose Quartz bubbled her, popped her, and then shoved her in a bubble, which was then shoved in Lion's mane. And Bismuth seems very cool at first, and she has the ability to upgrade their weapons, which for some reason they don't use again until the Season 5 finale. What?
I mean, just because she can upgrade them doesn't mean she can do an infinite number of upgrades. She did what she could at the time. I don't know.
Yeah, except that Amethyst keeps using the spiked whip that she got.
You mean they got upgraded and they don't use the upgraded versions later?
Yes.
Oh. I had to go rewatch that and make sure. I don't know how that worked.
Yeah, so I don't know why they wouldn't use those.
Distaste for Bismuth after she kind of turns nasty? Even though the weapon is still a weapon, yeah.
That seems insane,
Nah.
I'm not going to use this gun even against that horde of bang, 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 bang.
They run that whole episode, by the way, of Bismuth being like, a friend, and the whole time I'm thinking, nope, Bismuth's gotta be evil in some way because she was freaking bubbled and hidden in a secret place by Rose Quartz herself. You don't do that just casually.
Yeah, that requires planning and effort, man.
Yeah.
And then Rose Quartz, of course, lied to her friends about it, saying, "Oh yeah, I don't know where she went," because I'm sure you guys might have realized by now, Rose Quartz is kind of a bitch.
She's a complicated figure, which is exactly what the writers are building up to be. She's originally seems perfect and ideal, and then there's a darker side to things, but she had her reasons for what she did, still fundamentally cares about people and the earth and all that.
Yeah. She's still kind of a bitch.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that the phrase we use? Just kept a lot of secrets?
Yeah.
Sack
of anus?
Okay, yes. You could have just told everybody what had happened with Bismuth. You reasonably should have done that at least after the war was done.
Yeah.
Unless she has more reasons for keeping secrets. I don't know.
Ugh. But Bismuth's episode is actually one of the more divisive ones amongst the Steven Universe fandom, with people saying, well, yes, they absolutely should have used Bismuth's one-hit kill breaking point weapon to shatter enemy soldiers. To which I kind of have to agree. I mean,
the whole deal, and actually, just before this episode came up, no, actually not, later, I remember thinking to myself that from a narrative standpoint, gem physiology has been designed in such a way that you can kill someone without really killing them. This whole hard light thing supports this mode of combat. So in that mode, when that's available to you, that's great to be taking prisoners instead of outright killing them. It's not necessarily more effective to shatter if bubbles are effective and all that.
Yeah, but then you run the risk of prisoner breakouts.
Yeah, not from bubble. Has anyone broken out of a bubble in Steven Universe?
Steven did.
When he was, willingly put in one. No one who has been popped and bubbled has woken up.
But if Homeworld found...
If Homeworld found them, that's right. You could do that. I'll give you that.
In addition, there is also the political thing to consider, because honestly, on the battlefield, if you can just walk off a lethal wound just moments later, the battle's gonna... That might be why the war raged for 1,000 years. Yeah. Battlefields just kept going until everyone was literally too exhausted to move.
Potentially. Or, I don't know. It wasn't exactly 1,000-year war. We keep saying that, but that's just my vague impression. Maybe it was less than that.
I mean, I can see the merit of giving your soldiers a weapon that would allow them to put the enemy down permanently, and possibly even force Homeworld to the negotiating table.
I guess. On the other side, though, negotiations will be friendlier if we can do a prisoner exchange and not, you killed all my friends. Right? There's a reason they have prisoner exchanges in real life.
Well, yes. But, on the other hand, Homeworld does not strike me as the kind of people to negotiate from anything other than a position of strength.
Well, good luck getting them to a position of weakness, even with a breaking point. I mean, they've got a whole empire.
Exactly. So, on the one hand, you're saying something like, okay, well, we can just keep these prisoners. How many prisoners are you going to take? How many infinite billions are you going to shove into bubbles?
I mean, apparently they got all of them in this. I'm saying, yes, it looks hard to do up front, but somehow they managed to get a Pyrrhic victory out of it. Right? They got the planet free from Homeworld tampering for several thousand years.
Yeah, but at the same time, that was because Homeworld thought they'd nuke the shit out of the planet.
Yes.
The Homeworld...
But they still abandoned the colony, which was our original intent.
Yes.
And the humans got to develop and do their thing.
That was because Rose Quartz... Pink Diamond was shattered. So they decided to play fuck this shit. Scorched Earth policy.
Was that the direct impetus? Because...
Yes.
Well, wait. She gets shattered, supposedly, but then Blue comes in and takes over the war, doesn't she? And that's when Garnet first gets formed? Remember this?
No, because we know during the war... No, no, we know that...
We gotta work this timeline out, because you're thinking of a timeline in which the fake shattering happens and then the nuke immediately thereafter. And I thought there was
Not
this...
immediately, just like a short period of time.
A few days after or something. But I was thinking of it as the war raged for a few more years, with Pink being Rose Quartz full time. And
okay, think very carefully of how Yellow Diamond and Blue Diamond act thousands of years after they heard their sister died.
Yeah.
Yellow Diamond is still willing to destroy the Earth with the cluster, if only to make the bad memories go away, while Blue Diamond clings to every shred of thing that reminds her of Pink Diamond. Now imagine the heat of the moment when you've just heard that your little sister has died with those people.
I mean, it's very plausible that they went to the nuke option because of that.
Also, it would serve as an excellent way for Homeworld to say, no, you don't shatter the diamonds. Boom, here is why. And then hold up the Earth as an example as to what happens if you rebel against them. In addition, it also fits into Pink/Rose's character that she thinks something's a good idea, but then it kind of bites her in the ass later.
Other examples of that being
Bismuth.
I was about to say.
Bismuth. Let's see. The fact that she started a rebellion with just her and Pearl.
I don't think it was just her and Pearl. I mean, but in Bismuth's episode, Bismuth rattles off a list of all the other friends they had and stuff. I think we just got camera focus on her and Pearl.
Maybe. Anyways.
I really look forward to Season 6 hopefully clarifying some of this stuff.
Garnet's explanation of the legend of Rose Quartz.
Yeah, what about it?
She said that there was the war going on until Rose destroyed the diamond. And then, she says, but then Homeworld got mad, and then they launched the nuke.
Oh, I gotta go review that. Okay.
Yeah.
We watch that.
So
maybe that is what happened there. Yeah, one of my questions for Season 6, and maybe it makes more sense with this new version of the timeline, is why didn't Rose reveal herself as Pink afterwards? If, in fact, Blue and Yellow are unwilling to harm Pink, maybe you could be like, guys, wait, it's me. Please stop with the war and all that. Though, if they went ahead with the nuke thing, maybe there was no time to deliver that message, and then okay, never mind, we've all been nuked.
See, I think that runs into a different problem that the Gems as a species have. They're a race of shapeshifters.
Yes.
So
But
you could have probably had the Diamonds go, yeah, no, we're not buying it.
okay, but Steven manages to convince them with his psychic things and whatever.
Yeah,
I think
but that's
the deal
Steven.
is, well, it is Steven, but I think the deal is, right, you can't shapeshift your actual gem, right?
Right.
And the only reason Pink was able to pass off as Rose is because she took the gem and turned it sideways, and it looks like a different gem from a different angle.
Yes.
But nobody could, like, you know, reverse their gem and make it look all diamond shaped. Not that diamonds have a shape, but I'm gonna
because that would make such a difference if it was just a picture of their face.
What are you talking about?
Like if they were showing up on a screen saying, "Yes, this is totally me, Pink Diamond. You don't need to see my lower torso."
Right. So show her your lower torso. Duh.
No. Well, so okay. Well, I'm just saying that the Diamonds, in their grief and rage, would probably write it off as a trick.
Yeah.
Also, and this is just my theory of what happened. See, my thing about Pink Diamond was not great at planning ahead. She, Oh, by the way, I guess that just completely spoils that Pink Diamond and Rose Quartz are the same person.
Look, guys, it's a review. Are we assuming you already saw this thing?
Okay. But she does not plan ahead. She thought her sisters hated her and believed that, you know, with her gone, the Diamonds would leave the Earth just because it's not worth it to keep holding onto this planet.
Yeah, that was serious miscalculation.
I don't think she expected that they would launch the Corruption song.
Is that what it's called?
That's what I've heard it called.
Oh, okay. I remember some image of, like, stylized hands, you know.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think that Pink was really
smart.
Well, yeah.
Well, she must say, it's weird. Jasper says, I respected your tactics. So I presume she was good at battlefield tactics. She just was really bad at that one bit of thinking they would nuke the planet or not.
No, I mean, my personal theory is that Pink in her Rose Quartz persona, along with Pearl, went around doing hit-and-run guerrilla raids for years, and then kind of the turning point of the rebellion in multiple ways was her bumping into Garnet. If you remember the episode Now We're Only Falling Apart.
Yeah, that's true. She said that really inspired her to help other gems. Wait. Why is Blue administering the gem stuff? Is Pink still alive, supposedly, at this point?
I think Pink is still alive. It's just Blue
is like just visiting to double check on stuff.
Yeah, you know how it is.
Yeah.
You go to a new planet, you go see the sights.
Yeah, I assumed there was a whole transition there where Blue took over after Pink's death. But okay, maybe Blue was just visiting.
Yeah, it's
after Pink's fake death. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So my theory on what happened is she met Garnet. And that was what really turned the tide of the rebellion from these two idiots running around playing hero to an actual resistance movement. Because instead of just a Diamond who was new and inexperienced, and a Pearl who, let's face it, probably did not have a lot of military experience, they suddenly had access to a Fusion who can see the future and has military training.
That's true, and the philosophical point being made about gems being allowed to break out of their class hierarchy and stuff that probably inspired people.
Yeah, so I think Bismuth was one of the next people that was recruited, and people started to come to her banner after that.
Okay.
That's my theory on how the war went.
And then the whole time, of course, Pink is sabotaging herself. You know, deliberately leaving doors unlocked or something so that Rose Quartz can go make a successful raid and all that stuff.
Exactly. Or trying to persuade her sisters through diplomatic means, which could have been why Blue Diamond was on Earth to begin with.
Yeah.
She was there to be like, okay, looks like Pink wants to try to spare Earth again.
Yeah, we did have Pink having that conversation in memory form or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, there's a small line in that conversation that throws things for a loop, because Blue is saying, you know, oh, you had so much first you said you wanted a colony, and then it was too difficult, you know, there's too many organics, and then their cities were too difficult to destroy, and now it's this crystal gems business, and just go fix it already, you know, you're a Diamond. In the middle there, their cities were too difficult to destroy.
What the fuck kind of cities were they?
Exactly. This happened over 5,000 years ago.
Dude, modern humans in the modern day can't stand up to crystal gems in one-on-one combat. I don't think that Gilgamesh was able to mount a successful resistance. And if, the kings of Babylon and ancient Egypt were able to do that, can we skip season 6 and just see that, please? Because that sounds amazing. No, really, that sounds like something awesome.
There's a couple different ways to take this. Maybe like 3 different ways I could think of. One is Rose had some trouble with the kings of Babylon or something, mostly due to not wanting to really fight, and, makes a complaint and makes the problem look bigger than it is. Or 2, my preferred theory, that this throwaway line reveals that the entire series is taking place in the far future. And the cities that were hard to destroy are our modern metal cities.
Yeah, but we do see cavemen walking around later on.
Yeah, later on, after she had bombed us to the Stone Age, and then felt guilty about it and started thinking about, maybe we should change this up.
Fuck, why does that make sense?
Isn't that so cool? She invades the modern Earth, kills like half the population, then feels guilty about it.
Oh, stop saying words that make sense.
And if she had to fight a modern military, that might have been kind of hard to deal with. It's not just a city by itself, it's like tanks and stuff, right? That could be hard.
Oh, god damn it. My personal theory was that most of the people who liked war were killed off during the Crystal Gem War, or in the subsequent years, again, with them trying to remove various gem architecture, like the Sea Spire. So that led to Earth being more pacifistic.
That could well be, yeah. But yeah, in the meantime, I don't necessarily, obviously I don't really know what the writers have intended, but that would give Rose a lot of guilt to stew on and a stronger reason to say things differently. Though that may be saddling too much guilt on this character, even if we're trying to make her complicated. Like, oh yeah, your forces killed half the Earth or whatever. That's a lot to put on somebody as a character. It's a lot to put on Steven, who's already dealing with stuff.
It's a lot to put on a Diamond, who we've seen destroy entire planets.
Not Pink.
Well, yes.
That's just it. The idea is that she's complicated, but still someone for Steven to look up to. And had she slaughtered way more people than Hitler, it would be kind of hard to look up to her at all, even with all the nice things she said.
Bitch, I don't look up to her now.
She saved the Earth from an alien invasion. That's got to count for something. I think that counts.
Yeah, it does, but then that runs up into my thing of humans should be able to stand on their own.
Yeah, but they apparently weren't at the time, so what do? Let them die because they're not weak enough or not strong enough or whatever?
Yeah.
This is Lex Luthor v Superman here. It's like, oh, well, humans aren't strong enough. I guess I'll just not bother or something. No, Superman saves the day. It's what he does.
Yeah, but it's this whole thing of, oh, okay, humans are so weak and pitiful. The only way we can possibly stand up to all the forces of the universe are if we get, like, some magic boost from some...
Right, I mean, I get it. As a narrative sense, it's annoying to see humans look all weak. And it's cool to see them strong, and that's why XCOM is awesome. But...
Shut up.
In the context of the show...
Stop reading my thoughts!
In the context of the show, if... for whatever reason, you have this premise that humans couldn't have done it on their own, I'm glad that Rose saved us from total annihilation. And the thing that Peridot showed us with the hologram of, like, and then everyone everywhere dies.
The Earth is hollowed out.
The Earth is hollowed out. I think that's a negative outcome, and I'm glad to have avoided it.
Yeah, I'm... Okay, fine.
Okay.
But it's just... Still, though, it's another narrative thing of humans are weak. And it's just, we see this so often, that the only way we could possibly stand up is if we were also aliens.
Yeah, which is why, thus, the JFCF fought there is another cool thing.
I
mean, it was cool until it got all fascistic later on, or nationalistic or something.
Yeah, nationalistic.
Nationalistic, which is a relative.
Yeah, but, I mean, just...
Yeah, I mean...
Okay, so where were we? Oh, yeah,
Season 3 happened, Bismuth happened, Bismuth gets bubbled again because she gets all mad at Steven and tries to kill him.
Because he doesn't want to use the breaking point, so Bismuth thinks he's just like Rose, And then actually she thinks that Steven is Rose, which admittedly, given that Steven is, to our knowledge, totally unique. Although I did like that later on, Connie suggested, well, Steven's the only hybrid you know of, right? And Garnet is like, yes, he's the only hybrid. But then Connie goes, are you sure, though? And no one has an answer to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like one of those things like, oh yeah, this happened once. It could happen again.
It could happen again. There might be someone... Actually, you remember Mystery Girl?
I kind of skipped a lot of that episode.
What? What's wrong with that episode? I like that episode.
You'll notice that, it did not have furthering of the aliens are trying to destroy the Earth plot.
Have you been skipping all the Slice of Life episodes since we stopped watching together?
Not all of them.
Okay, well, anyway, you apparently skipped the part where the mystery girl who looks vaguely like Rose, Pearl says something to her like, yeah, my body is a hard light projection, and Mr. Girl's all like, yeah, I know what that's like, and a couple other vague phrases that just indicate maybe she knows something about gems.
Really? I know what that's the sort of thing you say when crazy people are talking to you.
I know, but
so
this is...
Have you heard about how the snake people are running the government? Yeah, I know what that's like.
It's clearly meant to be a thing. Like either it's a red herring or it leads somewhere. But either way, it's meant to catch people's interest. And I don't know. Maybe they'll do something with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What would the point of that be, though?
I don't know. I mean, they could do any number of interesting things if, somehow another hybrid was made and it was this girl or this girl's like dad or something, and there's a whole other history to it there, right? Who knows?
Right. Let's see. At the end of season 3, Steven starts getting a new power. Woo. Because he has like 80 powers now.
Yes.
You tried to say, oh, he does not have 80. And then I listed off all the powers
in a text
he
conversation,
showed.
yeah. I mean, there is...
Yeah, but I'm like,
there is
like Peridot has magnetism powers, and Garnet can make electricity. Yeah, well, Steven has... Let's
count it out. He's got the shield, he's got the bubble, he's got floating powers, he's got... like 3 varieties of psychic power.
He's got astral projection. He's got healing spit. He's
got the newest thing he just came up with in the climax, which is like a different type of astral projection or some kind.
Like he can hear the thoughts of diamonds. He's empathic.
He's got the dream visions. A lot of psychic stuff in there.
Yes.
And he's got a mild version of super strength.
Yeah, he also has super strength. Yeah, gee, I wonder why I said that Steven has like 80 powers.
Alright, well, he's a diamond, so it makes some more sense now.
Okay, yes, that's true. Anyways, Steven starts getting mental images of stuff about diamonds, and he wants to go see the Palanquin where Pink Diamond was destroyed because of stuff that happened earlier in the season.
Which, by the way, they brought that up, while we were back on the moon with one of the rubies. One of the rubies who, I think the name is Eyeball, yeah. Anyway, and there's this whole episode where Eyeball is relating the story of, I saw it with my own eye, the Rose Quartz stepped forward and shattered Pink Diamond. And that was really interesting. It was like, oh, right, your mom fought in a war and she freaking killed somebody at least once. In fact, that was just before that episode I was thinking to myself, like, oh yeah, they designed gem physiology so no one has to die. And then there's an episode where actually someone died and Rose killed them. And you're like, that's interesting. There's another layer there. Yeah. And now it's been undone.
Well, yeah, because we couldn't have Rose be, look terrible.
I mean, maybe Rose killed other people. I don't know. It's a war.
I like to think that she killed other people.
Yeah.
If only because
it was interesting.
It's annoying that they keep trying to portray Rose as Rose was so perfect. Yes, when she was keeping someone imprisoned inside of a lion.
Yes, that happened. Rose is complicated.
Or how she was playing both sides of the war, like Emperor frickin' Palpatine.
Wait. There's a whole different thing there. This is actually on one side of the war and pretending to be on the other side, as opposed to, I want these two groups to kill each other because I hate them all. Like, she was deliberately trying not to kill anybody. She just wanted to save the Earth.
I don't know. If I was in her position, I would do that.
Get both groups to kill each other?
Yes, and then I swoop in and take over the survivors.
Good luck managing the Earth with just survivors against all of Homeworld.
Well, I mean, take over Homeworld.
Oh, good luck with that. That's an interesting fanfic, though. Okay, we should do that.
You trick the diamonds into going down, they get shattered, and then you swoop in and take control as the only diamond remaining.
Gee. That
Yeah, see, this shit is why I am sometimes unsatisfied with them going, yeah, we can all be friends. I'm like, okay, but, and here's a thought, what if we tried it with more murder?
I also...
Just a little more homicide. Just a little. No, not much. Just a little homicide. Okay.
So, yeah.
But anyway, so they go visit the Palanquin, which is this walking thing that the diamonds ride around in.
Yeah.
Steven and Greg go and they visit it. After Garnet does a really shit job of talking them out of going.
Yep.
Yeah, she was like,
sometimes.
No, don't go, Steven. It's too amazingly interesting. That's almost word for word what she says. I can't tell you who you'll meet there because it'll make you want to go even more.
Oh, I want to go even more. Well, dang it, Donovan.
Garnet, you were just so terrible in this episode.
You know, she actually made the exact same mistake earlier with First Mate Buddy. Remember this? In that book episode where they read a book about the guy who came and, like, discovered Beach City?
Yeah.
Yeah, only the bravest, most amazing, most memorable explorers would dare visit these fascinating locations. Alright, thanks! And he goes off and does that exact thing.
I kind of think that she just wanted him to go away.
Yeah,
at
it's possible.
that point. Yeah. Anyways. So they go, and in a hilarious turn of events, they go to Korea, where the show is animated, and Steven and Greg, on a tourist trip, walk into the studio where they're animating Steven Universe.
That was funny.
Greg starts freaking out and drags Steven out of there. But anyways, they find the Palanquin, except it's not pink diamonds. It's blue diamonds. Because Blue Diamond is there on Earth. For the record, this is like finding that Darth Vader is in your house.
Yeah.
Except
he's half the size of Galactus, so add that up.
I don't know. They're pretty big. They might be the size of Galactus.
Really? I remember Galactus being taller, but okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, well, Galactus has comic books, so honestly, his size changes at times. Yeah. So, they try to keep quiet. Unfortunately, remember that empath thing I mentioned of Steven's? Yeah, he starts crying. Because Blue Diamond is always sad.
Yeah.
You know, I would be more sympathetic, except for two things. One, it's a play on the fact that she's blue, so she's sad. Yeah, real frickin' original. Oh, but she's so sad, everyone in the vicinity also feels sad.
You know, it sounds a lot cooler if you just phrase it as empathic attack. Which is totally how she weaponizes it in the season finale.
Well, yeah, but she's not doing it. She's just basic...
In episode 5, she totally, like, turns it on purpose. Episode 5. The end of season 5, she totally, like, I'm gonna hit you with
yes,
this.
But right now she's not doing
but right
that.
now, yeah.
So what you're basically saying is, well, yes, but the empathic attack is always on. So it's basically she's standing still while punching randomly in the air, and if someone gets too close, she's just like, I can't help it!
Steven's, like, more attuned to these things, so he just picks up on it.
But still,
accidentally.
And second, the reason why I don't like this, it's been like 6,000 years. Get over it!
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Okay, look, I get it. Losing someone you love and care for, that is hard.
Yeah.
I've lost grandparents, I've lost friends, I've lost people. We both have. But here's the thing. You're a diamond. You are immortal. Get your shit together and get a therapist.
Oh, goodness.
I'm sorry,
I find it easier to sympathize, and I'll take it as... I mean, okay, if you really want to think about it, it is weird that gem psychology is as close to humans as it is.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they live
that's
for so
definitely
long.
weird.
I'll give you that's weird. I'll give you, for instance, that, you know, if Peril knew...
Peril?
Oh man, that's like evil Pearl. It's just called Peril. Got an eye patch and everything.
No, just one gem over her eye.
Just one gem over her eye.
That's what they always do instead of an eye patch.
Yeah.
I mean, would they need it? Because they can regenerate like the frickin' Doctor.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they just thought it was a fashion statement. Okay. If Pearl knew Rose for so long, you think at some point the two of them would have clarified their relationship, and Pearl would have, like, you know, come to accept the fact that Rose did not return her feelings of love. But you could just go the other way and be like, all right, I'll accept this as gem psychology is different, and let's just say that whilst in contact with humans, they have emotional development at a much greater speed than they normally would. Like
humanity, fuck yeah.
Humanity, fuck yeah. And that normally on their own with fellow gems, they kind of are stuck in their regular patterns because they're immortal and they never much evolved or were designed for the need to change all that much. You have a thing, you do your thing, you're immortal, you just keep it up.
One could also argue that since she's so powerful and ancient, and she's basically one of the 4 god emperors of her species, anyone who criticizes her and says something against what she wants to do, she pretty much can either ignore or blow them the hell up.
Right.
So, okay, I can see how...
I'll just take it as gem psychology is different and blue is just still stuck there because that's just the way gems usually operate.
I just find it hilarious that, like, later Yellow Diamond comes in, and even she's like, dude, suck it up and get over it.
And also, gems have different opinions about how quickly one should recover from a loss. So
yes, how quickly? 5,000 years is not...
Immortals have different concepts of time than the rest of us.
I'm just saying, you know...
Alright, so anyway, Blue is sad and ends up kidnapping Greg.
Okay, but, like, Steven starts crying because Blue Diamond is crying. So it's basically an episode of Crying Breakfast Friends from Steven's cartoons.
Much cooler than that. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, okay. So Greg reveals himself so as to say, "Hi, I am a local." He like badly mangles a Korean phrase, and then he's like, "Hi, sure is nice being a local and all." Of course, they're from like another galaxy, so they don't frickin' know. They don't care. But they're like, Greg's like, "Are you okay?" "Yes, I am sad because I lost someone." "Yeah, it's tough. I lost someone too." "Humans are clearly more perceptive than I thought. You're going in the human zoo." Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
All I just was waiting for was Greg to say, this escalated very quickly.
It did. But that makes perfect sense for someone who totally sees organic life as a curiosity at best. You know, like, she picks up a human the way you might pick off a rock from the beach or something. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Taking that with me now. You know? Total superiority about it.
I mean, it just went really quickly for...
Yeah, no, it makes sense to
Okay,
me.
step 1. He says something. You can say that about anyone who has any interaction with her.
Yep.
"Would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies? Clearly the humans have evolved emotionally faster than expected."
Yeah.
So they take him to the human zoo, which, they have a spaceship now, which they took off of some rubies that landed. Which, that was honestly one of the funniest episodes in the entire show.
They had to play baseball.
They had to play baseball. But the main attraction for me was not the rubies playing baseball. It was the fact that Ruby and Sapphire that make up Garnet absolutely cannot stop flirting for any reason. Yeah. Even Steven, the guy who manages to forgive Peridot, who says, "I wanted to blow up the Earth because I think it's the right thing to do," even he's face-palming at this. Yeah. Although, if you look at one of the scenes where they're flirting and Steven's face-palming, Lapis is giving them a thumbs up in the background. But she's got the best deadpan face on.
Yeah. And they all to pretend to be humans, too. Like, oh yeah, this is Earl and Amy and all that stuff.
Bob. Lapis is Bob. Oh my god. And eventually, Ruby and Sapphire, normally the two people who would not screw things up for everyone.
Screw things up for everyone.
Oh my god, they screw everything up because they fuse, and revealing that they were a fusion.
And revealing that they were gems, therefore, They're gems, says one of the rubies, and But then we managed to get rid of it anyway, so haha.
It took their spaceship. Actually, it took place later, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyways, they took the spaceship, they went to the human zoo, where they plan to process Steven as one of the people in the human zoo. And the human zoo, look, I mean, Now, you're probably expecting me to go into this humans should never be caged, humanity forever, XCOM, XCOM, XCOM bit here. And I will admit that is a part of it, but I can understand that after thousands of years of existing solely by needing instructions and having everything handed to them, humanity would kind of devolve a little bit into a childlike race that has never known disappointment or pain, so they can't deal with it. My problem was not that. Two things. One, as TV Tropes pointed out, why are they multicultural? If they haven't received any new shipments of humans in the last, I don't know how many thousand years, why are they multicultural when any differences in race would have been bred out a long time ago?
You mean multi-ethnic, right?
Yeah.
Multicultural would mean having different cultural traditions and holidays and stuff.
Oh, multi-ethnic.
Okay.
Like, there's black people, there's white people, there's, like, Indian people, there's people of different creeds and not denominations, different skin tones and hair colors, and I'm like, yeah, why shouldn't, if they were all breeding together for thousands of years with no additions to the gene pool, shouldn't they have sort of homogenized? But then at the same time, I realized they're caught in a catch-22, because if they followed that, they would suggest that this new race, which would probably have darker skin, would be a race of people who are obedient servants.
And don't go there.
And they'd have to be saved by the only two white people.
Don't go there.
So you can understand, I can see why this is a problem, but also why this,
Well, considering that Pink Diamond was able to give birth to a human, there must be some understanding of human genetics when you stare at them long enough. So maybe they have a similar understanding and they just tweak genes now and then to keep things with variety.
Maybe, yeah. But the other problem I have with the human zoo, it's boring. No, really, I literally did not care at all about this episode.
Oh.
It did not elicit strong feelings one way or another. And when you're showing an episode to me of humans being kept as basically pets, and you manage to make it dull, something's not right there.
I think another problem the writers had was, so they couldn't have them break everyone out of the zoo and take them back to Earth, because then the Diamonds would totally be aware of that. But we didn't really want to leave them behind in a uncomfortable place either, because then it'd be like, wait, why aren't our heroes staging another rescue mission to go get them all out?
Well, we saw they're all psychologically kind of bred for this place.
Well, exactly. So they've had to invent this idea that they're all totally fine with it. They don't really want to be rescued, so we can put that at a very low priority to ever get them out. But in the meantime, if you're dealing with this situation where all these people seem totally fine, it does make the stakes seem lower.
Yeah,
I didn't feel it was boring, personally. I thought, I wanted to save Greg and all that, and it makes sense to me. And I love the bit at the end where they're breaking out, and what's-her-name is suddenly realizes the last second, and they had to make a break for it and all that. It was cool.
Yeah, but the other problem I have with the Human Zoo episode is that the very next episode, we see Amethyst finally meeting all of her fellow Amethysts from the kindergartens on Earth. And, she's, getting along with them, and she's having fun, and they're like the family that she always knew existed somewhere, but she never really knew. And that would have been just so much better of an episode. Learning about Amethyst and, her revealing that she woke up late, and she never met any of them, but she finally feels like she belongs here, along others of her own kind. And they could be teasing her, but good-naturedly, and she'd be like, this is where I get it from.
Yeah.
But for some reason...
We got a little bit of that, but it wasn't the main focus.
I would like an episode centered around Amethyst. Weirdly enough, people who make Steven Universe seem to think that we can't... They don't like to show perspectives other than Steven's.
It's a coming-of-age story, so it was about how things changed through his eyes.
Well, okay.
But yeah, okay, I could see an episode that's just following Amethyst's POV, yeah.
I mean, yes. You could say coming-of-age story, but when you have 100 well-developed characters in the rest of the story, it just gets a little harder to justify why you're not trying to do an episode following around these other guys.
That'd be interesting.
We got a backstory for Mr. Frickin' Smiley, and all he does is run the local amusement park.
Yes, even though that backstory also comes through Steven's eyes, Steven learning about it. I'm imagining now what it would be like to, do episodes where Steven's not in it at all, and you're going from someone else's perspective, and you could do that. You could make good stuff out of that. It would be a different tone from the rest of the show, though. Everything is currently based around assuming that it will come through Steven's eyes.
And I would be fine with that.
Yeah. I'm not saying it would be a worse tone. It just would be different. And then probably the writers just kind of aren't used to looking at it from that angle. But maybe they'll try it at some point. That could be good. Could be good. Especially now that Steven has gone through so much growth already. And you might find that there's more material to work with when you take him out of the picture. There's less for him to learn anyway. So they'll have someone else just doing their own thing for an episode.
Yeah, I mean,
that could be good.
Just the Amethyst family just sounds so interesting and cool of an idea for stories. Mm-hmm. And just like her teaching them about Earth and just so many cool ideas. But instead we had the human zoo, which I thought was boring. And
Alright, well...
Okay, well, anyways, they get out, and for some reason, this is... Okay, we actually see Blue and Yellow Diamond interacting, and Yellow Diamond gives a whole song about how Blue Diamond needs to suck it up and get over it, which is kind of fun.
You get so much joy out of telling people to suck it up. But, okay.
Look, I like songs that... I like kids' shows with songs that deliberately subvert the tone of kids' shows with songs.
Oh, I see.
Suck it up.
Oh, no.
Grow a spine.
Oh, no.
Pull your head out of your ass. Suck it up. Suck it up. I don't give a shit anymore.
Anyway.
So get up now and run your empire. Let this all go away. Some of us have shit to do anyway.
Well, anyway.
Bitch, I would watch
much
that.
More empathetic type.
Okay, yes, but this goes back to the it's been 5,000 years.
All right, well,
arguments.
we already did that argument.
And, well, I'm just making fun of this stuff.
All right.
Anyway, so they go back to Earth. Let's see.
So some other stuff happens. I like Tiger Philanthropist episode just because it's really a commentary on how this show itself will eventually end. Like, if we know that someday we're going to run out of ideas and we're going to try and not change things randomly or drag it out for no reason. You find a good climax, here's the conclusion, and you end. And it's nice to hear them commenting on basically the art of writing stories.
Yeah, though another episode that does the same thing is Lion 4, Alternate Ending, which is a commentary on how fans will obsessively pore over every single detail in the show.
That's true.
Ultimately, it turns out that there is no magical destiny for Steven.
At least not in this episode.
There is no magical destiny. There is no hidden messages. Steven is just himself. His mom didn't leave him anything else. Which I call unbelievable levels of bullshit.
I don't think their whole message is his mom left him nothing else. It's just there's nothing he discovers in this episode.
Yeah, but Steven is going over things obsessively, trying to find secret messages and stuff. Yeah. Which I wouldn't have a problem with, except that his mom left a ton of secrets behind, and there is a 5-season-long mystery arc about Rose Quartz shattering Pink Diamond that have hints buried in every episode as to the truth of what happened. So it's like, now viewers, you need to not watch our show and examine every detail. By the way, examine our show for every detail about this mystery.
Clearly, you have to sift out the important stuff from the red herrings.
Well, see, here's the thing. You don't know what's the important stuff and what's the red herrings unless you look at the episodes.
Right, so be patient instead of thinking you already know the conclusions. There, that's a fine message.
Okay, you never know. Okay, well, the episode after that starts a new story arc where people from Beach City are starting to vanish.
Being disappeared by unknown forces, which end up being gems from Homeworld.
Yeah, because, God forbid, we don't have...
Can you imagine if there was an actual human kidnapper on the loose? Like, that would totally go against the tone of the series. Actual regular crimes happening, and this guy's just psycho, and nothing to do with Homeworld, and
or I don't know, something else, you know.
I mean, I thought it was cool.
Some other fact. I mean, okay, I liked the arc. It's just, you know, the only threat is ever from Homeworld, so I don't know.
Okay, could have some variety.
Some variety, which eventually leads to Lars hiding on the alien spaceship while everyone else runs for their lives, and Steven giving himself up so that they'll leave Earth alone.
Yeah, the people, by the way, in charge are Aquamarine, whose weapon is like a magic wand, basically, that paralyzes people and is pretty dang hard to beat.
Her weapon is basically Syndrome's 0-point energy weapon from Incredibles.
Yeah, and then her lackey is a couple of topazes that fuse together, and they're all three of them are called Topaz, so that's a little confusing.
Yeah.
And Steven talks to Topaz, and Topaz has a heart and is going to help him, and Aquamarine just remains a jerk and says no. So there you go.
Of course, Aquamarine's argument I found really unconvincing. What are you going to do, Topaz? Shatter me? Homeworld's going to find out then when you get there. To which I'm like, excuse me, is this or is this not a spaceship? Can we not turn this ship around and go back to Earth? Then the Topazes could join the Crystal Gems and fuse all the time, and they wouldn't have to hide who they were.
I thought the idea was when she fails to report back to Homeworld, they're going to send someone to investigate.
Oh, you mean like Peridot? Yeah, tell me how that went.
Yeah, they might send more people this time, because it clearly does not work.
Yeah, okay, so they sent Jasper, Peridot, Lapis, and the 5 rubies.
They didn't send Lapis. Lapis was over there.
Okay,
already.
she was taken. No,
she
got to Homeworld.
Okay.
I'm just saying, the Diamonds are eventually going to realize maybe we shouldn't do this anymore. We seem to lose a lot of people.
Yeah, then they showed up in person at the end.
Okay, fine, but I'm just saying, you know, shove her in the escape pod, shove Aquamarine in an escape pod, fire her into the sun, and fly away.
Yeah,
this is a spaceship. You have options.
Nah, it's possible. She's probably not used to standing up to Aquamarine in any capacity, so we understand. You know, worried about the power of the Empire and all that, which, by the way, is another a thing the show is constantly trying to balance, in which we have a huge empire that could kill us all, but we also want to do slice of life episodes. So you arrange things to be like, all right, so what is it? Lapis was here, but now she's gone, and now we defeat the attack by Jasper and all that. But she'll be back eventually, and then she's back, and then we got rid of her, and then Peridot's the thing, we converted her, and then the cluster's happening, but wait, we got rid of that, and there's another threat kind of coming at some point, and we'll figure out. Well, we get there. In the meantime, we still have a chance to go eat pizza and whatever,
or have
because
a restaurant.
We don't want to have a show where it's just like, you know, actual war all the time. Though that could be a cool show too, but it's not the show they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, it does make for a fairly inconsistent tone at times. Like, there's an episode called Jungle Moon where Stevani gets trapped on a moon that is obviously covered in deserts. Clearly. And she looks up and she sees a world that has already been harvested by the Homeworld. It's got, like, huge chunks ripped out of it. Like, about 30% of its mass is just gone. This is clearly the ultimate fate of Earth if we don't stop Homeworld. Then they get back home and they're like, hey guys, let's have a restaurant war. I'm like, okay, yes, that's interesting, but we saw a planet hollowed out!
Right. I mean, I gotta say, though, that the slice of life stuff is essential to the heart of the show.
It is.
It allows us to get to know these characters in a whole different way that you couldn't do if it were just combat all the time. So basically, what you need is some other show to do the more hardcore, fully plot-driven risks and dangers happening all the time.
Which we'll get to that, because I have a whole idea about that, baby.
Okay, that could be cool.
But anyways, so the Topazes eventually go back to Homeworld side, and they're brought up for the trial.
I love this bit. I love this, because Steven is put on trial, and he's given this lawyer, whatever the gem type was.
Zircon.
A Zircon. And
I put up on TV tropes. People call these two lawyers, even though they aren't given names other than Zircons, are given many different names. Defense Zircon and Prosecution Zircon are the common ones. I added in, they're also called blue and yellow Zircon because they're both polka dotted and are fireball fuchsia in color. And then I added a tag for sarcasm mode for that last bit. Just because they're blue and yellow, so... and that's the only name I've ever heard them called by. I've never heard them called by Prosecution and Defense Zircon. I've only ever heard blue and yellow.
Good.
So I'm just like, really? Why do you call them this other thing when they have a very obvious designator?
Which one was the defense? I forget.
Blue.
Okay, so Blue is defending Steven and just does the boldest defense I have ever seen in a court case. My client could not have murdered the victim because actually the judges murdered the victim.
Okay, it's more complicated than that, and it's actually a really cool...
No, it is. It is really cool.
Because the defense attorney actually starts pointing holes in the story.
Yeah.
Because Steven is like, yes, I'm totally Rose Quartz. No, trust me, even though I'm way shorter and less unsettling
and
looking.
apparently don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't have boobs, whatever. And my hair isn't the size of Africa. I'm totally Rose Quartz, even though I don't know anything. Just because he wants the fighting to end.
Yeah.
Even though I think could have been really easily solved by saying, I'm sorry, Rose Quartz was my progenitor. She created me, but she's dead now. I'm sorry. And
I guess.
Then the Diamonds would have killed him anyway, but then they would have been like, okay, well, Rose is avenged. Pink's avenged.
Yeah.
Done deal.
Alright, I guess I didn't think of that very much.
But,
then again, they might not believe him. Well,
so, they point out that Rose killed Pink in the middle of her court, and we'd seen Diamond courts before. I mean, not court as in the court case that we're in right now, but like a royal court.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did a wanted criminal with hundreds of years of war get into the court with no one noticing?
Yeah. And even if she
Meanwhile, Rose Quartz is in the background. She's got a cloaking generator. Like the Predator.
Yeah.
Damn it, they're onto me.
And even if she shapeshifted, like, well, why didn't, the Sapphires see this coming and stuff like that?
So eventually So Steven tries to say, obviously, Rose used the breaking point.
Oh, well, that's slightly off the point, but yeah.
No. He says use the breaking point. Blue Diamond reveals that it was her sword. See, back in Bismuth was the one that crafted Rose Quartz's sword. Rose Quartz's sword was incapable of shattering people. It could only poof them.
Right. So they were building up to this reveal for a while. And the thing is, I took the signals the wrong way, which I'm sure they intended that. I thought, Rose's sword was more deadly than she let on. She told everybody it was incapable of shattering, but she could make it do the job if she really wanted it to.
Yeah, see, I didn't think that because Bismuth was the one to say, I designed this to not shatter, only to poof.
I just took it that maybe she upgraded it or something. Honestly, I forgot that specific line from Bismuth.
It also would speak it would also speak to the underlying tension between Bismuth and Rose Quartz, that Rose wants weapons to poof, not shatter.
Yeah.
Which ultimately fueled Bismuth more. But the only conclusion that the Defense Zircon comes to is the only person who could have gotten there was someone really trusted, and then have hushed up all the witnesses. So then she says the only people who could have...
one of you two! And she points to
the diamonds.
Blue and yellow diamond.
And then immediately she realizes that she just made a mistake. Because the first thing she says is, I'd like to strike that from the record on the grounds that I got too far ahead. Though, to me, it suggests several possibilities. One, no one knew what they saw. That's it's what it seemed, and everyone was right. Second, it looked like that, but it involved a shapeshifter. And since all gems are shapeshifters, it could be anyone from Rose Quartz who was the shapeshifter to a random crazy person.
Yeah, though it could plausibly be blue or yellow because they might have wanted more power or something and took down the only other people with similar levels of power to themselves.
Or another faction in the conflict who wanted to start a civil war amongst the Diamonds by assassinating one of them.
Ooh.
Hoping that there would be a power struggle.
Oh.
Personally, that's the direction I would have gone with if I was the trial lawyer.
Wouldn't it be cool if
if just so that everyone would be super paranoid.
Yeah.
But this leads to the Diamonds flipping the fuck out, start arguing with each other allowing Steven to take Lars and escape into the underbelly of the city, where they meet the off-colors, basically any rejects to Diamond Society. See, the Diamonds and the Gems in general are kind of super Nazi-ish when it comes to purity.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we're going to talk super Nazi, we haven't seen a concentration camp yet, but they definitely got a strong caste system going on here.
Well, I mean, yeah. They have a very strong caste system. Any imperfections are to be shattered or...
Yeah, that is Nazi. Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay, Nazi, they did, like, stupid shit, but, like, they had the death camps and shit, but they seemed...
You're not going to say something positive, are you? You're like, they had death camps, but...
But they also had just concentration camps where people were made to suffer and work until they died.
So
Homeworld seems more merciful than the Nazis in that they just shatter you. Or they just try to kill you or harvest you.
I don't know, man.
It's more efficient.
Slave labor with the possibility of getting rescued has got a more positive thing at the end there than just being dead.
Yeah, I don't think the Nazis intended it.
No, they didn't intend it, but I'm just saying, if you had the choice, if you chose the version where you might get rescued, because some people did when the war was, lost by the Nazis.
But the Diamonds are supposed to be brutally efficient, so I'm sure that this appealed to them. Just shatter all the... Anyways, the off-colors include a Siamese twin.
Yeah.
A conjoined twin, sorry. I don't know if that's probably
that's
not politically accurate.
Whatever they call it nowadays.
Politically correct. A conjoined twin gem. Another fusion like Garnet, except about a zillion times less cool. Because she's kind of a scaredy cat and doesn't have awesome super fists and rap abilities.
That one, yeah. Rhodonite?
Yeah. Then there is someone drugged Rebecca Sugar with LSD when she was making this. Because it is a giant caterpillar made of 6 fusions.
Woo.
It is a fusion of 6 gems and talks really slowly because we needed someone to show that, yes, we might be Homeworld, but we can still come up with nightmare fuel.
I've seen worse than a giant caterpillar.
I'm just saying, And lastly, it's like a relative of a sapphire, so she has the ability to see through the mists of time. Specifically to the past.
Yeah. True, a few seconds ago.
Yeah, Lars and Steven try talking with them, and they're like, yeah, we're from Earth, and we do stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Homeworld finds that Lars is invisible to gem scanning.
Woo!
Which allows him to become a hero, just in time for him to literally fucking die on screen.
Yeah!
Yeah, Steven brings him back to life, and he turns him into a pink human with white hair.
He's a pink zombie now. He has pink hair. What are you talking about? Doesn't he have pink hair?
No, I mean, like, very, very light pink. Very whitish.
Well, it links up with Lion's Mane, which is also pink.
Yeah, I put this down in the episode recap page on DV Tropes as hyperspace is a scary place, the mildest example ever.
Well, that's not an example, then.
What?
If it's not scary, if it's just totally not scary.
Oh, it's still scary.
That's scary about Lion's Mane, except you have to hold your breath, I guess. That's the one
it has no oxygen for humans to breathe in, and to get into it, you have to go through a lion!
Well, yes, I'll give you that.
Unusual. Yes. It's totally normal, except for the fact that you have to go into a lion. But once you get past that totally mundane fact, Sith, what's the big deal? Oh, and on the other side, you have to climb out of an emo teen's head.
Hey. I'd say he's a lot less emo now that he's captain of a starship. Also, was he ever really emo to begin? That's a broad use of the word emo.
Okay, he was a whiny teenager.
Yeah, he was insecure. Yeah.
Okay, well, anyways, moving right along, Steven decides, hey, I'll get you some help eventually, but you have to find your own way home because you can't go through your own head. But he goes, and Steven comes back to Earth that way, and he finds out that Connie is really mad at him.
Yeah.
Because, see, when you make a heroic sacrifice, people tend not to like that you're going to sacrifice yourself.
Yes, I'm glad they brought that up for once in fiction.
Steven completely doesn't understand why she's upset at him.
Until they finally work it out a few episodes later. So that was good.
Let's see.
And then we visit Lars again later, who becomes captain of a starship, and he's flying around space and running from Emerald.
I want this show. This is the show that I want. The last time we saw Lars, he was just back from the dead, sitting in a hole on Homeworld with just the clothes off his back. When we next see Lars, everyone is confused. Steven is really confused because he's captaining a space... Basically, the Crystal Gems version of the Milano from Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like super fast, and he's battling a space queen.
He's battling a high-ranking
an admiral,
gem,
space admiral. By the way, yes, I totally ship Lars and Emerald.
Just because?
Yes.
They've hardly
because I know the space opera tropes. She's
see.
an attractive woman who is devoted entirely to destroying him. That's going to grow into an obsession between them, and they're going to have, kissy times.
As if that's how romance works in real life. But okay, fine. Have fun with
do not interrupt my sci-fi tropes.
Okay, all right.
I will fight you all.
Okay. It was cool that it was actually a little fast for me because they had just made the point about Lars being a coward, and then he does like a courageous thing this one time and jumps on a probe and gets himself killed, and then the next step is total confident Captain Kirk thingamajig, and you're like, that was a big jump.
I am 100% okay with this.
Yeah.
I would love to see a show just about Lars going around to different planets. You know what I want to see? I want to see not just him meeting fighting gem ships. I want to see him meeting other races out there.
Yeah, I would like to expand the world beyond just two species.
Yes. In fact, I put down that the next episode, Jungle Moon, was a Wham episode, not just because we learn about Pink Diamond, not just because of the other revelations, but because that's the first time we've actually seen alien life that's not crystal gems in the entire series.
Gee, I guess you're right. Yeah.
I also put it down because we get to see the shattered remains of a planet that was completely harvested. But I put down the life thing first.
Yeah.
Just there is so much out there in this universe. Just limitless possibilities. And let's stick with focusing on Steven getting a hot dog. That's clearly what is important here, and not... Lars having awesome space adventures.
I could watch a spinoff with Lars.
I would watch that.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they could do a couple episodes just as if that was the Lars show. Change up the theme song and everything. Just make it Lars, Captain Lars, space hero. Something.
Oh, God. Yeah, so... Later on, they go back to Lars's ship after going back to Earth and bring Garnet along. And Garnet is just so enthusiastic to meet all these off-color gems, including 2 different fusions. But since they're off-color gems on Homeworld, they think that she's insulting them when she is honestly being it's almost Doctor-like in oh, you're beautiful. Oh, blimey! I can't do Doctor Who anymore. It's been so long, I can't do Doctor voice.
That's alright. It was still some version of British.
No, I was going for Steve Irwin.
That's not Doctor
That's Australian.
That's not...
That is Australian.
I know.
Yeah, and she tells the story of the rebellion. Rose Quartz was the best of us. She was the first to see that, hey, maybe life on this planet isn't shit.
Yep.
And she kind of was, which, I mean, yeah, it's important to realize that all of these people changed their ways, but initially all these people had no problem with completely draining the Earth of all its life force and then, turning it into a smoking crater.
Yeah, but then they changed their ways. That's good.
Yeah, I know, it's just, anyways, more stuff happens.
So stuff changes back at Beach City. I liked that. I like that things actually have progressed in people's lives. Lars is obviously not at the Big Donut anymore because he's in space.
Connie quit the Big Donut. So...
Connie never worked at the Big Donut. Sadie quit the Big Donut.
Wait, who's Connie then?
Steven's...
Right.
I didn't know whether to say friend or girlfriend. They're clearly a toy ship, but...
they're 100% boyfriend-girlfriend. 110%.
So he's also Steven's like combat partner because they form Stevani, which I think is probably one of my favorite characters. Has always been Stevani.
Yeah, she's okay. Garnet.
Garnet's cool too.
Garnet is best.
Garnet is, all right.
Garnet
So then Mayor Dewey loses his role as mayor and becomes Mr. Dewey, and he loses out to Nanafwa, who just points out like you have terrible safety plans in case of gem attack, and he actually concedes the race mid-debate.
Okay, but some of the stuff that they were accusing him of was not his fault.
That's true, some of it wasn't. But, like, in general, what had he done much except roll around and shout his name a lot? Really? That's all I did.
He lied a lot, but he did it for, like, the greater good.
Okay.
The way he described it.
Well, yeah. Nanafwa seems like a better choice overall.
I don't know. For some reason, I've kind of soured to octogenarian people in charge.
Well, I don't want to judge all of them by one of them, but here we go.
I mean, I get that the cool grandma is a trope, but still, though. I wanted Greg to be the new mayor.
Yeah, the guy would have been cool, too. I'll give you that. But, you know, maybe he concentrates a little too much power in the universe family. Like,
never.
Spread it out. All right.
Okay, yeah, that does get to be a concern later on, but still. And then we come...
Oh, and Greg got rich, by the way. That happened.
Yeah.
Skip that. Mr. Greg is one of the best episodes. It's all musical, and it's got a lot of powerful emotions in there. And Steven has clearly matured so much from his initial appearance that he could, like, negotiate the feelings of his father and one of his mother figures and get them to get along, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Let's see. And there's an episode where Lapis decides, fuck this shit, I'm leaving, and wants to take the barn with her.
And does so.
Yeah, because Lapis is... Let's be honest about Lapis's character. She is the living embodiment of, we can't use you because you are broken powerful.
Maybe?
What maybe?
Well,
she controlled all the water on Earth!
Okay.
That was when she was broken!
Yeah, I know. I'm just going to have to assume there's a difference between using it in that manner versus using it combat style, because at the end of Season 5, she doesn't hit the diamonds with all the water. Like, just imagine the entire ocean just gets up and falls on them.
That made no frickin' sense.
I'm just assuming it's harder to negotiate combat.
And a lot of people are like, oh my god, Lapis is the worst character. And I'm like...
No, she's not.
I know. I say... Okay, she can be a little bit of a shit sometimes, but it's more of a shit in that she definitely has PTSD and more issues than Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah, no.
She was trapped for thousands of years in a mirror, unable to move or communicate with anyone.
Yeah.
While she was broken, and we saw earlier that having a gem broken is like having brain damage. And then there was the whole Malachite thing. We don't talk about the Malachite thing. We do, but then...
By the way, when they ended that and, like, Jasper wanted to refuse, they were using some of the tropes about, like, backing off from a bad relationship and all that. Did you notice, like, some of the phrasing there? Jasper's like, we were so good together. And she's like, no, it was really not good. I don't want to go back to that again.
Yeah, but the interesting part was it wasn't just Jasper who was the bad partner. It was Lapis who basically used the fusion to take control of Jasper.
No, it wasn't healthy on either side.
Oh, no.
Obviously, Lapis had a reason. She was trying to save her friends. But...
but clearly, Malachite was the only way they could have done that. There's no way that Lapis could have used her powers and just put chains on Jasper directly and then, like,
you're right.
frozen her to a wall. Clearly, this was the best option.
Honestly, that right there is your best example of they just need to get rid of Lapis. And not just for she's too powerful, but more like we wanted time enough to do the Peridot arc and meet her first and, like, put Lapis somewhere to the side, please, so we can do the Peridot thing.
Yeah, I mean, I want to like Lapis more than I do. It's just that the writers don't seem to know what to do with her. We had this character who was saved by Steven with incredible power. Do something with her.
Well, I liked her rooming with Peridot and then developing a thing.
That was an interesting character dynamic.
Morphs and all that. And then when she left, the major thing was her relationship with Peridot. And I love how Peridot, if Steven coaches Peridot to just tell her how you feel, tell her you don't want to leave Earth, and Peridot finally tells her, and Lapis is just like, I'm leaving. And Peridot goes, no, wait, you're supposed to reward me for my emotional honesty. And that was a little bit of a lampshade hanging, like, you know, let's just point this out that no, of course, these heartfelt conversations don't always go the way you'd hope.
On the same time, it speaks perfectly to Peridot's character because she literally spent days watching one episode of a TV show, wrote up an entire shipping chart for that one episode, and wrote a 1,000-page essay on why one of the characters is the worst in the entire history of fiction because it gets in the way of one of her ships.
Yeah.
So I can 100% see Peridot as being like, no, this is how things are supposed to work on Earth.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, it was great to have Lapis return for the season finale, but it may have been better for her not to. It might have been better to really go with, no, seriously, she left the solar system, and it'll take bigger events for her to come back, you know?
Now, to be fair, the big events in question was we're summoning the eldritch monster beneath the Earth, and 2 of the god emperors of the gem species are here.
That's true, that is big.
What's next? Okay, here comes Unicron riding on a massive space whale that eats galaxies.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, it's okay, but because she goes to the moon at first, right? And she's like spying on them from there. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't she leave the moon at the end of that episode?
She does.
And
because
then,
she thinks the diamonds are coming.
Right. So she wouldn't logically be aware of stuff on Earth, except that she conveniently has to return to the moon to spy on them again to be aware of the diamonds so she can show up at the last second.
I want to like Peridot. I don't want to like...
You know what would be fun? Lapis goes out to the middle of nowhere and bumps into Lars. And has his adventures.
I am 100% imagining her as first mate on the ship.
Yeah!
And her just wearing an eye patch, and she just totally does not give a fuck. Like once. First mate, how are we doing on time? We'll be there in an hour. You can try to get a little more into character. I'm wearing the eye patch. I'm not doing anything else, Lars.
It could be funny.
Shit, I could ship those too.
There you go. See?
But that would get in the way of my emerald ship. Damn it! You raise interesting questions, television.
Good.
Let's see.
So the big thing, though, that comes around is a single pale rose in which Pearl uses indirect methods to finally reveal that Rose was Pink Diamond the whole time. And that was a big revelation.
It was pretty much the biggest revelation in the entire show.
I have questions about this, which I'm sure I hope anyway they'll explore some more of this. Because, like, okay, so when a diamond gives a Pearl an order, is there like mind control in that? Because Pearl was totally acting like there was a mind control component. Like she had to hack around the rules, like she'd been programmed. You know,
there's magic involved, so it could have been
magic
just chaos.
involved. Yeah, it could be that's how that works, which begs the question of how all the other Pearls feel about their jobs, and maybe some of them hate it. You just don't see it because they've been ordered not to show you or something. I don't know. That's interesting. And why did Rose feel the need to keep this secret, not just during the war, but for thousands of years after? Like, maybe, I don't know, she wanted Steven to have, like, a new life without the legacy behind him or something. Kind of feels like if you know you're going to effectively die, because that's apparently what happened when she gave birth to Steven, because she's gone. You know, maybe tell your secret to your closest friends that you've known all this time, and you let them have a chance to talk it over with you. I don't know what reason she had to keep the secret at that point.
I think that it was more symbolic than anything else, which totally fits into Rose Quartz's I must be super dramatic about everything thing. That she's leaving that life behind, and she's no longer Pink Diamond.
Yeah.
And also it doesn't matter because Homeworld thinks we're all dead, so, you know. So really our only job is to hang out on Earth.
That's another question, though, in that during her thousands of years of Homeworld not being around, did she ever suspect they might want to come and restart the colony? And, you know, do stuff about stuff? Because there's still all those minerals in the Earth's crust that I'm sure they would love to have.
Yeah.
It's because as far as we know, it wasn't like they... You know, it's not like, okay, we corrupted the area, and by the way, the nuke spell also like screws with hyperspace, so we can't show up again. Like there's a side effect that makes the place inaccessible. It was we nuked everybody. As far as I know, you could show up next week or next millennia and start up the mining project again and get that shit done.
That is a good point. Though maybe if Rose was really determined to protect Earth, so maybe she was the one who shattered the galaxy warp so that no one else could come here.
Correct, but they don't just have galaxy warps; they have
ships. I know, and
I really hope they thought that through, because otherwise it's
the only way I can think of is that the Diamonds voted on it, with Blue representing keep everything exactly the way it was, the way Pink Diamond would have wanted it. Yellow was all for blow it the fuck up, and White Diamond would probably...
Maybe she sided with Blue. Yeah.
I'm guessing she sided with Blue, if only because the war against the rebels cost us a lot of loyal soldiers and resources. We, at the moment, cannot deal with this.
Yeah,
Focus it on more productive measures.
Okay. That's plausible. I would love to see what White Diamond is like, and maybe White Diamond ends up being the actual evil type you cannot negotiate with and fulfills that particular wish.
I vote that White Diamond actually be like an audio animatronic puppet operated by the Pearl.
That'd be so weird. Wow. The whole Wizard of Oz thing going on.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Okay. White Pearl was in charge of it all. I vote that there's other secret diamonds that haven't even been hinted at. There's totally a black diamond or something that's all mysterious, or, green diamond. I don't know. All the diamonds get together and form Megazord somehow.
Yes. Yes. Perfect. Yeah, so...
Oh, by the way, part of the deal with all this is that apparently Pink Diamond, we're told later, took her concerns about humans and organic life to Yellow and Blue, and they both turned her down. So apparently Blue and Yellow outrank Pink, which had never been explicitly stated before, though hinted at in Jungle Moon, where Pink is clearly portrayed as the youngest kid.
That is true, but at the same time, A, it was a dream sequence, and B, it was a dream sequence. Yes, it may have been going along the lines of that, but we had Dr. Maheshwaran as Yellow Diamond and Stivani in the form of Pink Diamond.
Yeah.
So just pardon me for thinking, maybe we should take that with a grain of salt.
Right, okay, so anyway, now it seems much more official that Blue and Yellow outrank Pink, and I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, it's been in the iconography the entire time. Whenever you see the symbol of 4 diamonds, Pink is at the bottom, Blue and Yellow are at the second layer, and White is on top.
Oh.
White is in charge, the other 2 are a triumvirate, and then Pink is the lowest ranking diamond.
Yep.
There you go. So, yay for putting in little details that we didn't even notice until we had to explain to us.
Okay, so
then
obviously the next episode, Steven announces, to Pearl, oh my god, I can't believe my mom was actually Pink Diamond the whole time. Of course, he doesn't look behind him, so, Garnet and Amethyst are right there. It's just Amethyst just goes, what?
Yeah. Which I think Steven would have told him anyway, honestly. He's that earnest of a guy. He's different from his mom that way. Does not keep secrets like she does. Not for long, anyway.
Well, the next episode is titled, Once upon a time we were falling in love, but now we're only falling apart. Nothing I can do, a total eclipse of the heart.
Just that middle part is the
it's now we're only falling apart.
Yeah.
Which I am really disappointed that they didn't have at least a cover of that song here, because I really like that song. So I mean, I know it maybe wouldn't have necessarily fit, but at the same time, I really like that song. So
Garnet unfuses in shock.
Yeah.
And remember previously when they unfused over being upset with Pearl,
Ruby was the one who was literally ranting and raving to the point where she boiled an entire swimming pool.
Yeah.
Which, wouldn't that have sent chlorine gas?
It might have. Gee. Okay, don't boil swimming pools at home, people. Chlorine gas is very bad.
I mean,
as far as I know, so maybe the chlorine has got a higher boiling temperature than water.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what happens if you boil swimming pool water. Oh, no, do not look that up. Do not look that up.
Well, I'm curious. You can look at the boiling point of chlorine. I don't know. The boiling point is way below 0. Well, frick.
Well, I don't know what that means.
I don't know how that works. Wait, how is it? Okay.
You know what? Well, we don't care. So, but in this case, Ruby's the one who's really sensible. Sapphire goes nuts.
Yeah, she's super upset about it.
She's upset. She's ranting. She warps away through the warp network until finally Pearl and Steven manage to find her and tell her about other stuff about Pink Diamond and helps clarify some points, specifically how this whole thing got started. We get to see a flashback to the kindergarten when the Amethysts were forming. Which
oh, yeah, and Rose goes and visits and pretends to be Rose for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is the first and nicest thing. That is the nicest and also only thing anyone has ever said to me. Oh, an interesting little Easter egg there. The Amethysts say that they want to wait until 8XM pops out.
Is that our Amethyst?
That's our Amethyst,
Yeah.
and it's canon that Amethyst stayed in the ground much longer.
You could imagine them just standing there for another 500 years. Just
No, we're fucking waiting for this. Like the corruption.
Wow, that's a good fanfic idea right there. They actually waited around for 500 years.
Well, I'm just imagining the corruption wave approaching them. They just turn as one, fuck off! And the corruption wave goes around them, just like with the power of them not giving a shit.
Come to think of it, though, apparently you can survive a corruption wave if you're underground when it hits, because it didn't corrupt Amethyst.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, is there a secret bunker of gems somewhere that, like, survived?
Wow, I need
They're
this.
hiding out in Antarctica this whole time?
Hey guys, I think we found a solution to the problem. Hey, where is everyone? The one guy who stayed. Oh god. Anyways, when they get back to the temple, however, Ruby's left and has done the most logical thing possible. She's become a cowboy.
Well, not quite yet. She's talking to Greg.
Okay,
Remember
yes,
this?
but she becomes a cowboy.
She becomes a cowboy.
Which is clearly the most logical step in this process. Find out that your old boss was the god emperor of your enemy. Become a cowboy. I don't really see how you're not following these logical and obvious steps.
Put the t-shirt. No, it makes more sense to making it sound like. But first, though,
Isn't there supposed to be underpants somewhere in this?
Well, first though comes the episode, What's Your Problem? And that was actually, not from Amethyst's perspective, but a great episode for her. Because she's apparently kind of goofing off and not taking the Pink Diamond revelation especially seriously. And Steven wants to go find Ruby, and she keeps goofing off and suggesting he doesn't need to bother. And it's eventually revealed that she is consciously trying to make Steven feel better and trying to avoid telling Steven how she feels, not because she's being emotionally repressed about it, but because Steven always fixes everyone's problems and she wants to give him a break. And I was like, yeah, that's actually highly mature to know, like, when too much is on one person, and if she needs to talk to somebody, presumably she would go to, like, Vidalia, right? Or somebody like that. In the meantime, she's like, no, Steven, I don't care how much you want to hear about my feelings. I want to hear about yours. You're the one who's going through more stuff. And Steven actually says, you know what, I think you're the most mature crystal gem. She's like, that's what this is, isn't it? No. So that was great. That was highly emotionally intelligent, which the show is known for. Then the next one is the episode called The Question. And
it's naturally about a Charleston hero with no face who occasionally starred alongside the Ted Kord Blue Beetle. Woo!
Totally,
oh my god. Blue Beetle in this. Yes!
Or The Question teams up with Ronaldo and they just talk conspiracies for a while.
Oh my god, I can totally believe it. Look! The Sneeple built the base on the moon! You believe in the moon?
Yeah.
Okay, I stole that joke, but still, I would 100%. Oh my god, Ronaldo is the question.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, especially with his habit of being unintentionally right about stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he predicted the Diamond Conspiracy. The
he
Diamond
did a little,
Protectorate, and that the Earth would be hollowed out, and Peridot, if you look at one of his background scribblings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was cool. Also, this ties in with the earlier idea you and I were discussing before. say when Jasper attacks, and Steven desperately tries to summon his shield. And he ends up summoning S.H.I.E.L.D. from the Marvel Universe with a helicarrier, and they just plow straight into the ship.
Yes, glorious.
And then maybe all the Avengers show up too.
Ooh, Hulk versus Diamond.
Yeah, Puny Diamond. We gotta do that.
Puny Diamond.
Okay, so...
Ha! Foolish green creature. The only thing that diamonds are vulnerable to is snark. Meanwhile, just everyone's eyes get really big. Tony, get out here right now! Bring Doctor Strange!
So weird. Okay.
And possibly Peter Quill!
Yeah.
If he's in there for some reason.
The Snark Brigade.
Yes.
Alright, that has got to be a comic at some point. A villain who's defeated by Snark, and they just bring in those characters. Okay.
Okay, so...
but anyway, so Ruby makes a good point about... And I love this because they're about to do a wedding episode. Spoiler alert. That Ruby takes a moment, takes like, I don't know, a day or two, whatever it is, to be her just on her own for a while, not be with Sapphire and see what it's like. Because when she was first made, she was with a pack of rubies and being given orders, and then she was with Sapphire all the time. And it's healthy to go be on your own once in a while, so she does, and does the whole cowboy routine. And then decides, you know what, I want to be with Sapphire. So, alright. And then he shows up on a horse and asks Sapphire to marry her.
Also, the horse is Amethyst.
I should mention.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Because of course it is.
And Sapphire says yes, and Gems don't normally have a concept of marriage, but they got it from Steven, naturally.
Okay, so next episode is Maid of Honor. It's the penultimate episode, and they decide to bring back Bismuth for the wedding.
Well, or rather, Steven decides.
Okay,
but yeah,
Steven
if
decides.
everyone else is eventually cool with it.
Yeah, so they wake up Bismuth, and Bismuth, if you remember, last time she tried to kill Steven because her opinion of Rose is not great. So she looks up, and she's in the bubble chamber, and she's like, oh my god, all of our friends! You prisoned all of our friends!
And
Steven's like, no, do not do that. Do not do what you were thinking of doing. Bismuth roars, I'll save you, Biggs! Grabs a gem, pops it open, and just like, Biggs, help me free these other people! See, the reason these are bubbled gems and not,
just walking around.
Yeah, it's because all of these are corrupted gems, so they might return to normal gem form. But they're also horrible monsters!
Yeah. So she quickly
Steven,
figures that out.
Steven basically infodumps pretty much everything she's missed. Bismuth looks at her and says, are you okay? Bismuth says, yeah, I'm fine with this. Excuse me. She smiles, walks over to a nearby pool of lava, sticks her head into the pool, and starts screaming. Because that is the appropriate reaction.
Yeah. And then she points out a moment later, gee, I puts a whole other layer on my conversation with Rose. Here's a weapon you can use to shatter yourself.
Which they really should have kept around, because you have 2 diamonds coming the next episode.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, having something as insurance.
Gee, that's an interesting thing there. I don't know.
Bismuth is just like, well, Steven convinced me. We absolutely did not need the breaking point. Blue Diamond lands on the beach. Fuck you, Steven!
Yeah.
Gee, Steven, I wish we had something that could instantly shatter a diamond. That would be real fucking useful.
Yeah, that would. Maybe they'll end up using that on White Diamond.
Well, they threw it in the lava, so...
Oh, well, they could make it again.
Well, yeah.
Around. But the show's not dark enough to actually kill off White Diamond, even if she is irredeemably evil.
Well, we don't know that. She's not done anything yet.
I said even if.
Yeah, okay. So, the season finale is a 2-parter where... Sapphire and Ruby get married, and everyone's...
The first gay wedding in cartoon history!
Yeah. I mean, actually TV Tropes has a bunch of examples of where other gay stuff happens in Western animation.
Did they have marriage before?
I don't know.
Alright. As far as I know, the first one in history...
I know that there was supposedly, other interracial kisses before Star Trek did theirs.
Really?
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
It's overseas stuff, so...
Oh, well, on American TV. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Although it might be. I don't know. But everyone gives Star Trek credit for that. And
well, the most popularly known example of this in history that I'm aware of.
Well, anyways, and everything's going great. Then the Diamonds invade, and they're here for the cluster.
Yeah.
And Blue Diamond lands, and she's just kind of pissed, but she doesn't do a whole lot with her super diamond powers aside from make everyone feel so sad that Alexandrite defuses.
Yeah.
And then she starts getting mad-ish, and
she's clearly in this zone of being so powerful, I don't need to kill you at a web. I can just wait and mess with you slower.
although, you know, you'd think that she would anyways, because she's evil.
Well, she did want to put Rose on trial rather than have her immediately killed. She's
But the reason for that is, I want to know what happened. How did you manage to get past our guards so that I can know how my sister was
and
killed?
that was never answered as far as she's concerned. Steven ran from the thing before it was done.
Yeah, anyways.
I do love how Peridot runs right up to Yellow, who also shows up, and says, "Remember me, Claude?" And the Yellow's like, "No," and then kills or poofs Peridot in one hit. You're like, yeah, that's diamond power right there.
Yeah.
I can believe
Also, the cluster, they managed to awaken the cluster and unbubble it. And the cluster does the most natural thing. Forms a gigantic arm to arm wrestle the arm ships of the Diamonds. Because that is what logic is.
Yeah.
Were they high when they wrote this episode? You know,
it's a little Deus Ex Machina, I must admit. Like, it's plausible the cluster would like us and be on our side and stuff, but like, oh, we happen to figure this out the very instant it's needed. And the cluster is supposed to be the size of the planet.
No, it's not the size of the planet. It's just very, very, very large. Maybe like...
It's supposed to...
Charon sized?
Charon?
Charon.
How big is Charon?
Oh, wait, no. Cirrus.
How big is that?
600 miles across.
Really?
That's the largest known asteroid.
Okay, well, I've always thought the idea of the cluster was to shatter the dang Earth.
Well, yes, if it's 600 miles wide, it's going to expand with the gem hard light thing. It's going to rip its way out of Earth like a dog ripping its way out of a present.
Okay, but a 600-mile wide hole in the Earth is pretty small by Earth standards.
Also, it's going to be insane, so it's probably not going to just pop out.
Okay, what's it supposed to do? Burrow for a while, back and forth?
I was going to say...
style until...
I was going to say rampage until it destroys the Earth. Plus, remember how... imagine Amethyst's gem versus the rest of her. Now imagine that's like a billion times bigger.
Wait. Okay. So, the cluster itself, the gems are 600 miles wide, is what you're saying?
Yes.
And then the hard light projection is the size of the Earth.
It's much bigger, is what I'm saying.
Okay, well, much bigger ends up being the size of, like, a single skyscraper. And I was going for, like, the size of the Earth in my head. Because I totally thought they described it that way. Like, literally, it forms a new Unicron and blows up the Earth from the inside.
Okay, yes, it did, but I'm just saying you don't need to be the size of the Earth in order to rip it apart.
Okay, true, but anyway.
So
I'm guessing only a small portion of it became this arm or something. Look, Peridot wasn't freaking out about the cluster is going to mess up this local area. We'll just go live in Africa or something. She was freaking out about the planet.
Yeah.
Pretty scary thing, whatever it is.
Well, okay, yes. Just, my problem with this episode is that after Yellow Diamond arrives on scene and they start fighting, this should be like an epic battle with, like, everybody showing their stuff, like new techniques and stuff they've learned over the years, and just barely holding on against the Diamonds to show that we are worth standing up for this planet for. What do we get instead? Steven gets knocked the fuck out, gets a new power of astral projection, and it shows everyone doing their same basic attack move over and over again in place on top of massive representations of themselves. Gripping! Look, no, I mean, literally, this is what Garnet is doing. Over and over again, punching in the same motion.
Yeah.
And then Steven inspires her. So she punches faster!
Yeah.
And Bismuth, she is repeatedly swinging the hammer. And then Steven inspires her, so she swings it slightly harder.
I mean, we did get to see cool stuff earlier. Like, I love that Connie is not subject to the empathic attack. And so she just jumps on Lion and, like, jumps straight for Blue Diamond's face with the sword. And then, unfortunately, gets interrupted. But I was like, yeah, Connie, being a badass.
Connie is awesome.
And a few other things like that. Peridot getting
best
launched into Blue's face. And then they all getting thrown at Blue by Lapis'
Yeah, but a lot
water.
of that stuff is before the astral projection scene.
No, that's true. During the astral projection scene, we lost a lot of what would have been cool combat. And that is honestly...
But no, I mean, it went from cool... Even if it was disappointing combat, I would be okay with this. This wasn't just no combat. This was... I don't know what this was.
The impression of combat without really getting to see it.
Yeah, it's like... We all understand that stuff in films is often less exciting than it actually is, but they use music and special effects to amp things up a bit. You know, it's like seeing actors without makeup trying to do the stunts that their stuntmen are supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. It removes like a lot of the veil and it just makes it look really unimpressive.
Yeah.
I get what they're going for, to show that this is a battle at the center of the mind, but this sort of power is not what we've seen Steven do before.
It's... Right, this is another bit, it's kind of Deus Ex Machina. He has previously had visions of people while sleeping, and even talked to them through those visions.
And living through their memories.
And he's took over Lars's body once for a day.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was weird. And he also took over a watermelon's body for a day.
Okay, yes, but that both of... Okay, Lars was a little less explicable, but
Yeah.
but the watermelon, at least, he had a connection to the watermelons.
Well, he's got a family connection to the diamonds, I guess.
Yeah, but
he
this wasn't related to the diamonds. This was suddenly we're in this weird other realm, which we don't know the rules for.
Yeah, it's a bad move to come up with something where you don't know the rules right in the middle of a climactic bit. I mean, it can be done well, and it was still like really interesting to watch. But to your point, even if they're gonna do his new astral thing, you could have just cut back and forth. And skip all the lines where Steven encourages people. Have him just running straight for the diamonds, and then cut to, here's the real world as they're fighting. And then maybe there's a bit where one of the diamonds nearly hits Steven's body, and then Connie deflects the attack or something.
Yes, show Connie doing stuff.
Yeah, show Connie doing stuff.
Show her being a badass. Even if she got deflected earlier, she can still help, even if she's not a gem.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see her battling with just the hilt and shard of Rose's sword.
Yes, do it.
Kind of hard to do that against a 40-foot tall being, but if she had something to stab with, that'd be cool.
If it poofs no matter what, could she just ankle stab them to death, and then they just use, like, a jackhammer on the diamonds?
Yeah, but it wouldn't look cool.
I would think that would look cool.
Just stand there while we jackhammer.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, I want to see her do more
So
combat
instead
stuff.
it involves Steven's Force Ghost floating up to the diamonds and poking them and saying that there is a presence, and somehow they're aware of the Force Ghost dimension of astral projection, and they start shooting mental laser beams.
Yeah.
Because they have those. So, like, were they doing that in the real world, too? Did they just stop and go, wait, I sense a presence? And everyone was just, wait, what are you doing?
Yeah, that was unclear.
And then they just start randomly shooting into space.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, I guess we're still hitting you then.
Right. Likewise with the people that were fighting and just kind of standing on top of their statues or whatever, I kind of wanted to be, and maybe this would look weird, but if you had Garnet, like, running, for instance, and then just magically she's running in place, but she's actually moving legs as though to run and to dodge and to this and to that, and be like, oh, okay, I can see that's what's happening in the real world. And I had to do this another layer of abstraction in my head where I see Garnet punching, but she can't possibly be just punching like Blue or something in the ankles, just standing there, and like, what, Yellow's not doing anything about it either, I guess.
Especially since Yellow and Blue aren't moving at all.
Yeah.
Unless you're saying that they have, like, Ava abilities where they're just using the AT fields to launch laser beams or shit at them. No, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, so that was kind of weak. But
Yeah,
anyway, he
and
gets
then-
the epic message across that he is Pink Diamond and convinces them with his aura or something.
The fact that he glows pink a bit. Yeah.
Apparently, he could send them like a magic fingerprint of his brain waves.
Because apparently mental combat is a thing diamonds can do, I guess.
I really wish we'd seen that before. That could have been cool. You can imagine Blue being the expert at mental combat because she's apparently got an empathic attack.
Yeah, I mean, could you just imagine, like, what if the reason Lapis is so broken mentally is not necessarily because of all the other shit she's been through, though that is a good reason. What if the Diamonds captured her once she got back to Homeworld and then basically used their mental abilities to just rip through her mind to try to figure out what the hell's going on Earth?
That sounds like a really cool scene. You can imagine Lapis and Blue on like a abstract, darkened plane or something, right? Like the mental plane, and Blue just being so towering and powerful and keeps hitting Lapis with these waves of energy or something, and Lapis is trying to resist and not give up any secrets or whatever, and Blue could exposit a little bit about her motivations and backstory and things, and just be like creepy. I mean, it's kind of what we got with her when we saw Lapis dueling Jasper in the dream.
Yeah, except it really emphasizes the threat of the villain.
Yeah.
They don't even need to touch you to destroy you.
Yeah.
They can break you without touching you.
I would also love to see...
It would also fit in with the corruption, which Garnet described as, imagine instead of MC Bear ripping the fabric of his skin, ripping the fabric of his mind.
Which, come to think of it, since their big nuke is a corruption attack, exactly, yeah, they must have the power to do that.
Yeah.
And maybe Blue is like the guiding force there, and others just like added their power onto hers. This would make Blue a more creepy character, but I'm willing to go there. And I would love to see, too, a battle between, and this would have to be, I don't know, some sort of flashback, or Steven could just, have a memory of some kind. But a battle between Rose and Blue in the Mindscape, right? Maybe just after Pink has supposedly been shattered. And maybe there's, we get more of a glimpse of why Rose wanted to keep this secret. Maybe, and I have to change another thing to make this work, because Rose had this flippant attitude, remember? In the Revelation, she was like, "Oh, Yellow and Blue just won't be bothered with this. Never mind, right?"
Well, okay, she was young and did think that they didn't care, which is a fair assessment when they kept telling her, "Do your frickin' job," and also, you want to save humans, set up the zoo.
Yeah, I would have gone for more of a family strife angle there. I would have gone for Rose is bitter at Yellow and Blue for being so domineering all her life, They had her as like the whiny kid in the Jungle Moon semi-flashback, but you could have made it, they went deeper than that. It went to some hatred, and thankfully got paired up with a much more healthy love for the Earth and its peoples, but Al still has this personal thing to say frick you to Yellow and Blue. And maybe Blue especially. And maybe there was like this duel between them where Blue thinks she's fighting Rose Quartz and makes some comment about how Rose is good at withstanding her attacks, but, I'll prevail in the end. And maybe at the end of that scene, Rose ends up breaking out of the mental zone and goes back to physical combat, and so their secrets don't get revealed. And so now we know that Rose can communicate in this particular field, and now Steven does that in the climax, except he takes a different route of just explaining who he is, and some of this could be more established.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I wouldn't have gone exactly that way, but yeah.
Similar.
Yeah. I'm just saying that this feels a little out of frickin' nowhere.
A little. Yeah, and then what are they going to do with it? That's our big question. We don't know. Are Yellow and Blue going to be chill with it? That would feel pretty weird. Aren't you the fascist empire types who want to conquer the world?
Don't you, destroy anyone who insults you even remotely? The more I see of the Diamonds, the more I consider them like the founders from the Dominion.
Yeah.
They only stopped because Pink Diamond could be alive in some way, shape, or form. The lives of everyone else, literally everyone else on this planet and in their ships and, elsewhere, they matter not one whit to the Diamonds as long as the Diamonds are the ones who are safe and in control.
Yeah. I could also imagine, if we're going with more of a family strife angle, that Steven reveals who he is, and Pink is alive, and maybe there's a moment of relief that you're alive, and then, wait a minute! You put us through all that grief, and by the way, we're still pissed off of you. You were Rose Quartz, so apparently you launched the rebellion, and we just hate you all the more now, right? Like, maybe they'll go with that in season 6. That could be interesting.
Yeah. Although I think they're going to have to wait anyways because both of their ships are wrecked.
Yeah, but if anyone could call in backup ships, you'd think it'd be the Diamonds.
Yeah.
I really hope they don't just, like, hang around for 10 episodes and get pizza and stuff. Like, everyone else can do that. I don't want the Diamonds to just hang around and get
I
pizza.
fucking want the Diamonds to be eating pizza.
Okay, maybe that would be fun.
You, Dewey person. I want the donut on the top of your store. What flavor is it? It is the only one big enough to suit a diamond.
That's the Mega Dewey. Yeah, it's free of charge. She's already picked it up.
It tastes horrible. I'll take 2.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining. Well, Steven, there's someone in Beach. Amethyst just going during her episode. Well, Steven, I don't unload my problems on you. There's someone who I know is always there for me. Someone who will always be by my side right up until the day they leave. So anyways, that's my problem, and just, I don't know who to trust anymore. I just feel really betrayed. Miss Amethyst, do you want a glazed Dewey or not? I thought you meant, your friend who was Onion's mom. Oh yeah, that would be a much better idea, Steven.
Yeah.
No, better. Wait, that's not Onion's mom? Oh my god, all you humans look the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one thing I really liked, that episode where Greg's scumbag manager came back, it was revealed that he was Sour Cream's dad. Vidalia is Sour Cream's mom, and that Vidalia married again to Yellowtail. I really like that Sour Cream started speaking the mutterings of his father when he got really mad.
Yeah.
Just showing that that's who his real dad is.
Wow, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's also been some hints to the whole Rose reveal that you can see only in retrospect. Like, when Peridot's explaining that pearls are, like, meant to be servants and secretaries and stuff, she mentions about our Pearl. Oh, you must have belonged to somebody at some point. Oh, she looks like a fancy one, too. Hey, who did you belong to? And Pearl, like, dodges the question. And in the moment, it feels like Pearl's just annoyed at being treated like a servant, but also she doesn't want to mention, yeah, I belong to Pink Diamond, and it's related to all her secrets and stuff.
Let's see.
Which is funny, it never occurred to me before to wonder, like, who did Pearl belong to? Who did she serve,
Yeah, I mean, we kind of assume that
This must have been
they're
somebody,
like normal people, but at the same time...
like, she had the job before the rebellion, and was working for someone, so who was that someone,
You know what's the sad part?
Huh.
They had a big clue about that in the Uncle Grandpa crossover episode.
Oh, really?
It was non-canon, but Uncle Grandpa did one of those weird things where he puts a telescope up to his eye, looks at Steven's gem, and says, "You're going to want to polish that twice a year."
Oh my gosh, that's what you do with diamonds?
Rose quartz gems do not need to be polished. Diamonds do need to be polished twice a year.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. And of course, anyone who did catch that was thinking, it's probably a red herring. It's in the non-canon episode.
And also, clearly Insane Man is saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there's also lots of little ones. Like in the Bismuth episode, when Bismuth is holding, like, some cards, the sweets align so that if you match them up from left to right in the room, Stevens is a red diamond.
Oh, really?
Yeah. While she has a black sweet, by the way. I don't think that's racist. I think it's to show that she's not like everyone else.
Yeah, when you say a suite, do you mean a suit?
I literally have never heard it said out loud. So.
Okay. I was like, suites in a hotel? Or it's okay. Like hearts, diamonds,
yes.
clubs, and spades? Yeah.
Also, something that we didn't mention, apparently this world is really alternate from the real world in that there's, like, Russia's gone.
Yeah. It got nuked in the war, but not by the corruption nuke, by other nukes, by more conventional-ish nukes.
I'm just... What?
Yeah, and we find out what state Steven lives in. It's Delamont.
What? When was this?
It was during the wedding. By the power vested in me by the state of Delamont, I now pronounce you Garnet.
I missed that
So it's a
line.
combination of Delaware and Vermont.
Right,
And they went to the Keystone State earlier, which is
Keystone.
some other... I know, what's
It's
it?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, that's what it is.
It's
in real life.
Pennsylvania, but it's called Keystone.
Yeah.
Okay, now one of the contentious character is who's his uncle?
Andy, Uncle Andy.
Uncle Andy. His episode is basically him being a reactionary
Yeah.
guy who's really upset at everything, and he's like, "You didn't marry your wife."
He's conservatively coded, you might say.
The weird part is that I find him one of the most relatable characters in the episode.
Sure.
Just because, I mean, not because, particularly because of, I identify with conservative values. I don't really, but imagine how you'd feel if you came home after you've been away from a long trip and find squatters living in your house, having broken your stuff to make weird art projects.
Yeah.
And saying, no, it's okay. That guy that you related to, that you really hate because he severed all contact and changed his name, he said we could live here, even though this is your parents' house. Oh, by the way, he had a kid and never married his wife and never told you guys about them.
Yeah. No, that makes
I
sense.
can totally
I
imagine
can understand.
Andy being pissed as hell.
Being thrown for a loop there. Yeah.
I mean, he is, like, at other points, he's, like, really, I don't know. He goes a little too far at times.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they do raise a good point that he didn't really provide weight. He could have gone and visited people.
Right.
But at the same time, I like to think that at least some of the responsibility was on Greg.
I agree. I think they're really trying to make a point about, hey, we're making this whole show about reaching out to people and being nice. That includes conservatives, okay? Like, we actually want to heal the political divide if all possible, so they had to throw a nudge in that direction.
Yeah.
Especially in a show that's got so much LGBT stuff and is clearly liberals would love it. It's like, that doesn't mean we hate conservatives. You're family too. You know?
And Andy does apologize when he, like, accidentally is insensitive about Rose.
Yeah.
He's like, which one of you ladies is the mother of this wonderful baby boy? Rose isn't with us. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Though in the middle there, he says, it's you, right? You're the big one. You're tall is what I'm saying. Anyway, he says that to Garnet, yeah.
Okay, let's be fair here. Greg seems to have a thing for giant women.
Yeah, good for him.
Like, even his manager knew that he had a thing for giant women.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if your band manager is able to deduce that you have a type, I think a person you're actually related to might spot the pattern.
Yep.
I can see him looking at a picture of Rose, then looking at Greg, then looking at the picture of Rose, and then looking back at Greg. Oh yeah, okay. Yep, definitely.
Yep. So that's pretty much it.
So it's good. It just, I don't know. It just...
A few things are a little weak and a little Deus Ex Machina-ish. It's still doing stuff, though, that, to my knowledge, isn't happening anywhere else with the level of emotional intelligence in this show. The number of lessons about relating to people and being vulnerable in relationships and the unrequited love and the complex feelings about your mom in this case and bits of concepts of racism in there, the way Gems feel about organics and
I'm not a fan of
detail of like Amethyst being like, no, stop, I don't want to tell you my feelings because I don't want to dump on you, and there's so many like lessons that typically just do not get taught in any media hardly.
Okay.
And I appreciate that they're doing that,
Where the story fails more is, ironically enough, in the story aspects. I don't know, it just feels like there's a whole bunch of... It feels like they've been hitting a bunch of the same notes again and again, in some ways. Mm-hmm. And the same moral message is just being hit. We need to talk more. We need to be nice to each other.
Yeah, I mean, there's details within that, but I guess it is...
And ultimately, the season finale is... We need to talk to each other more because otherwise we start fighting again, even if we're family. When I really think that there are extenuating circumstances that say, okay, you can be nice to someone, even if they're your family, there's a point at which they've crossed the line and need to be put the fuck down. Okay, maybe not that hard, but like sometimes it's better to just. Who's to say that Greg was wrong for breaking contact with the McAvoys?
I don't know who you're talking about. DeMeo is the
original
last name.
Why did I think it was...
Which is the name... I realized after watching again with you, that's the last name of their animation director.
Yeah, it is. Greg might have had good reasons for leaving his family and not contacting them, for splitting off from the DeMeo name, not just because I want to be a rock star. He could have had like a very rocky relationship with his other family members, and they fought constantly. Yeah. You know, I don't think we've really explored this sort of thing.
And this is...
No. I mean, they explored the idea of an abusive relationship with Lapis and Jasper. That's fine. The problem is that it came down way too heavy-handed. This is bad. It forms an evil monster, and Jasper's being really creepy about it, and, you know, it's really unhealthy, and they go on and on about how it was unhealthy. But we don't see families... We don't see a family in there that's just divorced.
We do with the Onions.
Yeah,
divorced to remarried.
And then Vidalia didn't say one word to the manager guy that whole episode.
Oh.
And we don't have people saying, okay, sometimes people split up. Sometimes people fight, and we can't get back together.
I mean...
That is a lesson that does require emotional maturity.
Sure. No.
And is an interesting contrast to the show's usual message. Yes, it would be nice if we could all get along. But...
It doesn't always work as simple as the show portrays. Now,
in trying to be more mature about that, they've somehow become less mature.
I see what you're saying.
Mind.
Yeah, in all the interesting details, and because it's not just one broad lesson of people should get along. There's a lot of the details of how they get along or how they happen to split up, or the ways in which conflicts are resolved. Which, if you compare it to like an action show, that could be like, oh, the one thing is you fight and then you win. Yes, but look at the tactics, look at the details. And so for me, I'm looking at all these interesting details that come up in different contexts. But one of the important things to learn in real life is how to back away when someone is being just purely abusive. And they're a narcissist, they're an outright psychopath, they're something, and you just cannot fix that, and you need to back off for your own sanity. Because otherwise you get stuck trying to fix things. This happens in abusive relationships where somebody's, oh, I can fix the abuser, and I'll be really conciliatory and really kind and really nice, and you end up just kind of being a doormat, and it's not this wonderful reconciliation like typically happens on this show. And that's why we were saying at the beginning of this review, I would like to see Steven learn this lesson of there are some people that... Look, maybe somehow they'll change their way eventually, but you can't help it happen, and you've got to back off. Because I've seen it happen.
And it doesn't even need to be someone who's narcissistic or psychopath, or they can just be people who do not get along.
That's true.
That's
true. There's just normal levels.
You don't need some mental thing to make you not get along. Sometimes you just don't like each other.
That's true. That's true too. There are two separate ideas here. Then the abusive side and the just we don't get along side.
Yeah, I mean. Although I think Steven can't really identify what that is, considering that he tries to consider Lars his best friend forever.
Yeah.
Pre-Space Lars.
Pre-Space Lars. Yeah.
Lars is kind of a shit.
Yeah, thankfully he gets better. But
he gets better, but he's... Before he goes to space, he is a shit.
Yeah. And... That's an ambiguous case, because on one hand, it's really great that Steven is so forgiving and all that. But, again, these forgiving attitudes can go to a point of getting yourself hurt. You know...
It can also be to the detriment of the characters. Yes, a person is not a character in a show, and I get that they try to treat these characters as people who don't necessarily do this, but you're producing a work of fiction. That means that these are characters we want to follow. And it doesn't really speak well to the characters if they keep going back into these bad relationships. Steven trying to be nice to Lars was good up until about season 3, after which I kind of soured the relationship, and it was just like, dude, You remember, like, diamonds are attacking the Earth. You remember all of this other stuff, but you can't remember that Lars has never said one positive thing to you without being prompted by either Sadie or yourself.
Yeah, see, it eventually does end up working out, and Lars becomes nicer. But in forespect, would you have known? Forespect?
Hindsight.
No, I mean, like, would you have known in advance? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's the problem. You don't know things are going to be like that in advance, so you can't keep trying to make peace with this guy that you don't like,
I mean, I'll grant,
and who doesn't like you, on the off chance that maybe he'll be awesome once he gets to space.
I'll grant that he doesn't...
Unless you're Sapphire, in which case
Sapphire.
you can absolutely do that.
I'll grant that he doesn't make Lars like his main project or something. He clearly has all sorts of other things going on and other relationships, and he wants to be a gem.
But
so he's not obsessive to this point of, like, abandoning the rest of his life, which is, like, a classic problem of people who have become, like, a doormat or something. But, yeah, it's just a little odd. And I guess... I don't know. Maybe Lars did say a few things during that off-colors bit or something. Did he say something about sorry for being a jerk previously?
Yeah, he was.
So there's something. Okay, that's an important element, that the guy says sorry. But maybe some other character at least could be the standard bearer of, okay, leave that person alone because the two of you are just not going to get along and deal with it.
Although I do like that Ronaldo goes up to Steven and is, like, just confused as to where where Sadie and Lars are. And Steven's just like, well, don't you know they're in space? What? Since when? Steven's just like, well, for a while now. The mayor told the whole town. You think I trust the mayor? Well, why are you believing me? Because I trust you. And there was just such an understated moment of just niceness, and I'm simplifying the whole thing.
That's nice. There are a lot of nice moments.
Even if, Ronaldo is actually a precog that can see the future.
Or he just gets lucky with some of this stuff. It also, though, if you have a thing where you're making friends with everybody all the time, it does reduce the sense of threat that would otherwise be in the show.
Exactly.
Like, the Diamonds were so awesome and distant and powerful and everything, and now, with a few minutes effort, he got through to them.
See, let's look at a different show. Dragon Ball Z. Okay. Now, even leaving out the filler of the Namek saga, let's look at Frieza for a moment. This is a character who has an impact on the world around him. Other people are characters who are capable of curb stomping the main cast with so little ease it is impossible to just take them seriously because they're just so far above them, are terrified to the point of freezing in terror at the mere thought that Frieza might be angry at them. Frieza wipes out his own men with no regard for anything. He is casually able to destroy planets and just walk through the worst of the worst. Even the most powerful characters will take time to attack this guy. That is a threat. The Diamonds were given a little bit of that, but it's not...
Well, they have... I don't know. They do take down Peridot in one blow, and then they somehow don't take down everybody else in one blow. I guess everyone else is better at dodging.
Yeah, how the hell did Lapis not last longer? She controls the ocean, and they're next to the ocean! This is like a waterbender being unable to escape a prison where she's underwater!
A little bit.
This is like Rambo being like, how do I kill those men really far away? I don't know why my Rambo accent sounds like Schwarzenegger. While being stuck inside of an armory. Someone fetch me the sad trombone.
All right. So Lapis's power levels will never entirely make sense. I'll give you that. But yeah, when you can fix... I mean, okay, there is Jasper as a counterexample, but almost every problem can be fixed by talking to the people. Like, I guess that was one thing with corrupted gems, is you definitely couldn't talk to them, and in that case, Centipedal's the exception, but everyone else you had to poof them. And there was a sense of, like, we need our combat skills. And if you can talk down the freaking Diamonds, it's like, do we need combat skills anymore, or do we just need to give a megaphone to Steven?
Yeah. Just, God.
I'm not saying it's bad, it could go too far in later seasons. I'm not sure.
I
still liked it. I still liked it up to the end.
The
It was lovely seeing the wedding. It was beautiful. It was inspiring.
Yeah.
All that. And the characters are still great. And I love all the little quirks. And wedding commander. All flowers have been deployed. Things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder where this is gonna go. I think we're done.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to our review.
Okay. Well, anyways, I'm Sith King.
I'm Sox Suns.
Signing off.